Well, good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Y'all did a great job getting in as we started to ratchet up the annual Bowl Pick'em contest. But we need more. We're not there yet. A few people have, I think, paid but not gotten in yet. Trying to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I know you guys love it when I count. That's
Well, I wasn't sure if you were any good at
that's
it.
the content you come here. 15 people are in. I know we're over halfway filled because I know a couple people have paid but not gotten in. I got to do a better job of keeping track of all this. I take that back. Griffin can do that.
Okay.
Griffin's got to keep track. By the way, Sean A., is that one of your buddies?
Yeah.
He got in last year. Can you find out if he's in for this year?
Yeah, I already texted. I don't know why he's
Oh, what, is he dodging you now?
Yeah. Well, no, he's texting me back, but he's quickly changed the subject as soon as I bring up the bullpen. Like, I know you're not going to win, but...
Why? Because you're confident that you're winning? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't want to broadcast that because I obviously want people to join.
Right,
but
right. Yeah. You're not going to win.
It's all for naught.
You're not. You're obviously not going to win. You've won before, correct?
Yes.
Was it last year?
2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
And then
you were
last
the winner.
year, I don't know. I think I finished like top 5 or I fell out.
You
towards
feel
the
like
end.
you
Yeah.
you've got your finger on the pulse of
Yeah, you know.
which Jacksonville State players are
Exactly.
playing.
It's about following
in
the right
this
Twitter
game.
accounts, the
you got that.
what message boards to be to be checking out.
I think it could be anyone. That's the way that I feel about it. I think anyone could win. Because who
great
the
you feel that
hell
way.
knows who's playing in these games? Who freaking knows? So what you need to do at Glenn-Clark on Venmo, Glenn Clark Radio on Cash App, Glenn Clark 180 on PayPal. $20. That's it. $20. Half of the money is going to the winner. Ideally, it's going to be $350. Half of the money is going to go to helping up Mission, our drive to provide toiletries and underwear for the most vulnerable people in our community this holiday season. So we need you to get in today. Today, Junior, today. Get in. We'll get you the link. Why am I stressed about it? Because the games start on Saturday. 2 bowl games because they're also including the Celebration Bowl in picks. One FBS bowl game, and then they're also putting the Celebration Bowl in here. So you got to get in. You can't be wasting time, or else you're going to find yourself behind the 8 ball. If you get to me next Monday, like, dude, I wanted to get in on that thing. It's
Well,
a little.
You can still get in.
You could get in, but you're already 2 picks behind. It might be very well that you're still tied with a lot of people because it might very well be that nobody got any of the games right on Saturday. It's a little bit weird this year because we're used to Army-Navy, and then the bowls start the week after that. But with Thanksgiving being the latest possible date that it could be this year, everything has to be kind of truncated. So we got to ramp things up. I've had people ask me, hey, what about are you doing a collection event? I'll get to that. The answer is maybe. Right now there's one thing that I'm worried about. I need you to get in on this. This is my priority. And if you'd like me to talk about other things and you've already gotten in, then share it with your friends. Tell your friends. Hassle Sean A. about getting in. Hassle him. So we can fill this thing. I don't want to hear about, college football is not really my... It's not anybody's thing, except Griffin. Griffin's very bullish about it.
Yeah.
We're not a college football community. And again, these are bowl games. It's like trying to pick preseason football games. And don't give Griffin any ideas. Don't give Griffin any ideas, because next year he might suggest that.
If there's a hardball coaching,
Nah, thank you. It's impossible. No one knows who's playing. There was some coach yesterday who was like, I don't think we're going to have any opt-outs. Our guys want to play. I think it was Fran Brown who said that from Syracuse.
Oh,
It's like, around here we play football. Like, yeah, guy.
They don't shower. They play football.
And I like Fran Brown.
They're men.
I think he's been in a world where we miss Steve Spurrier. Like, I just so badly miss Steve Spurrier. I feel like Fran Brown's been good for college football. Like, as psychopathic as he might be, like we need that a little bit. I'm not opposed to it, but easy over there, fella. I think there's going to be now. Somebody has argued. A couple people argued there might be less opt-outs because the season ended so late. That could lead to a few more guys just being like, hell, it's only a couple more weeks. I'll ride it out and play. I don't know. I have no idea. Can't speak to it. Not a problem for Maryland. We're in the Zion Ely business at Maryland. Coming up in just a few minutes, Jamal Lewis. You know him, one of the greatest Ravens of all time. Jamal Lewis scored 47 touchdowns in his career, 45 of them on the ground, 42 via the air. Sorry, not 42, 2 via the air. If it was 42, no one would break his record. He scored 47 touchdowns total.
Maybe he only scored 5 on the ground, but yeah.
Mark Andrews, as of the last game the Baltimore Ravens played against the Philadelphia Eagles, has scored 47 career touchdowns, all via the air. So with his next touchdown, he will break Jamal Lewis's franchise career touchdowns scored record. At least as long as Derrick Henry doesn't play like 2 more seasons. Then maybe.
Then it will be in jeopardy.
But Jamal Lewis, the one of the greatest players in franchise history, will join us this morning and tell us a little bit more about that. And knowing Jamal, he's very excited for Mark Andrews, and that's what all these guys say in these moments anyway, but it'll be a great chance to catch up with Jamal Lewis. Also this morning, it's a Tuesday, so Patrick Stevens will join us. We'll talk about Maryland's tough loss at Purdue on Sunday, what it means, and everything else in the world of college basketball. And then it's also Tuesday, so we'll preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday with our guy Joe Serpico. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot out there that can help you. You're kind of on your own this week.
Patrick Taylor.
You're in the playoffs. Patrick Taylor, fine, but like he's not gonna.
Maybe.
Maybe if there's another blowout, like they've got their guy. Their guy is Garendo.
Well, is Garendo going to play? That's what I mean.
Oh, you're saying okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. I don't know I don't know. And it is the Thursday game, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that does impact things. Maybe you do need to pick up Patrick Taylor at least. If you just got Garendo and he saved you last week. We can maybe get to the bottom of what's going on with A.J. Brown. Is there anything more bizarre than the Eagles being this good and apparently their top wide receiver hates their quarterback? Like, what a bizarre bit they've got going on up there.
Sounds like Jalen might not like him either. So
apparently it's just a mutual hate society. They win the game on Sunday and they're out there. Yeah, what's going on with the team? The quarterback stinks. What?
Well, it's because they just don't call pass plays. That's why.
You're 11 You're 11-2, dog. Maybe settle down a little bit over there or enjoy yourself. Yikes. We'll talk about what that means. I am concerned.
A.J. Brown got strapped up by Brandon Stevens. He's starting to lose it.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
As an A.J. Brown owner, I don't know what to do this week. I really don't. I have no idea. We'll talk about it with Joe Serpico. That's all on the way here on the program. Griffin, what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
You're getting $7 in free slot play at Live Casino and Hotel this season because every time that Baltimore's football team or Washington's football team score touchdowns during home games, Live Rewards members are getting $7 in free slot play. Have to have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine, any slot machine, and it has to be actively playing as well in order to get your prize. But once those touchdowns scored during home games, again, home games for Baltimore and Washington this season, $7 in free slot play at Live Casino at Rono Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLE.
By the way, thank you to the couple of you that got in yesterday to let me know how wrong I was about every part of talking about the Maryland. It's hilarious. I was doing public relations work for the New York Tourism Board. Like, you could go up to New York on first of all, the game's not on Sunday the 22nd. It's on Saturday the 21st.
Oh, okay.
It's the same day as the Ravens-Steelers game, but it's at noon. So you could conceivably go to the Maryland game and still have not time to get home, but like time to get somewhere to watch the game if you so desired, if you weren't going to the Ravens-Steelers game. And then, 2, it's not in Newark. That's where the Villanova game was. It's in Brooklyn. So
you already are. You're already in New York, though.
Every part of that wrong.
We're kind of closer to New York, I guess.
Every part of that was wrong. So my apologies, my sincere apologies to New York, Newark, Maryland, Syracuse, Kevin McAllister.
So basically a home game for Syracuse is now.
Well, because it's in the state that they play
in New York.
Okay. Sure. We'll go with that. That's
playing all their players. The football team's probably going to rally.
Is that what?
The basketball team.
Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
They're just going to be like, they're trying. We got to try extra hard.
Great point. That's probably what's going on.
Now I'm worried. Bad spot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now you're... Sure.
It's all about finding these spots.
All right. Anyway, now, as far as yesterday is concerned, obviously Cincinnati beats Dallas. They keep their faint playoff hopes alive, but even against Dallas, even against Cooper Rush, they can't look good because their defense stinks. Now, I get it. You say, hey, they only gave up 20 points. We take that in Baltimore most weeks. Yeah, but Dallas was starting Cooper Rush. So giving up 20 points to Cooper Rush is sort of like giving up 40 points to a real player. So maybe keep that in mind as you judge that from the Bengals last night. But, yes, the Bengals' faint playoff hopes are not vanquished. But much like the Dolphins, whose faint playoff hopes are not vanquished, they are both 2 games behind. And as we look at the Ravens and say, well, they're only 2 games behind the Steelers, so they're not dead yet in the division. That's the same thing that they're saying in those cities. The reason why we don't think the Ravens are dead yet in the division is because they still have a game in hand against the Steelers. So they can still control. In a world where you control your own destiny, you're only 1 game back. You need 1 other game's worth of help plus the game that you control in order to be in the division. I don't know. I haven't looked at the Bengals or the Dolphins' schedules to see, if they have the Broncos or if they have the Chargers remaining for them to try to control their destiny. The Bengals played the Chargers already, didn't they? Didn't they play the Chargers?
Was that the Sunday night game? Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
right?
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah, obviously they don't have that, and that makes it even worse because now they don't have the tiebreaker now they've lost the tiebreaker for both the Ravens and the Chargers. So they're down to
Bengals do play the Broncos.
The Bengals play the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a biggie. Because if the path forward for them to get into the playoffs is they feel like they're 1 game behind because they control their own destiny in terms of that Broncos game. So they now just need the Broncos to lose another game. But the Bengals still have another game against the Steelers. They still have a game in Pittsburgh as well. And it went so well for them when they played the Steelers the first time that why wouldn't you feel good about a second matchup with them? Look, they're alive. They're not, there's no other way to say it. They're not dead yet. They might as well be. Actually, they have 8 losses. They don't have 7, correct? So they would need. Yeah, they would need 3 games worth of help because everybody
they're trying to catch the Broncos.
They're trying to catch the Broncos. So they would need the Broncos to lose 2 other games and the game they play against them.
Yeah, they need the Broncos to lose 3 or 4, including. Yeah,
they're dead. Take it back. They're dead. I know I declared them dead last week, and then I was like, this week, I started doing the math on it. I'm like, I guess they're not as far behind as I think they are. I think really what it is looking at it, you're like, well, they could still finish 9-8. And like the history is that 9-8 teams or teams that win 9 games tend to find their way into the playoffs. But I mean, I haven't bothered to look at the Broncos schedule just because it's impossibly difficult for the Bengals because the 2 other teams, 2 of the 3 teams they can't catch because they're 3 games and a tiebreaker.
Broncos have a tough schedule.
Okay.
They host Indy this week, so that's favorable. Then they're at Chargers, then they're at Cincinnati, and then they host the Chiefs week 18, which I guess could be
not knowing
so
if the Chiefs are going to have anything to play for, and that's the tricky part for any of this is you look at that and say okay, that's not a certainty, but if the Chiefs have nothing to play for, and it looks more and more like that might be the case come week 18, then that's not going to provide you any respite if you're a Bengals fan. If you're a Bengals fan, you don't feel good about any of the games that you play. You barely beat the Cowboys last night. The Dolphins only have 7 losses, though, so the Dolphins really are still in it, and they don't have the same tiebreaker problems the Bengals have with the various wild card teams. So they have a much more realistic path, although they don't have a game left against.
But they do have they play the Browns, the Jets. They're at Houston this week. They host the 49ers. Yeah,
but the Browns game is in Cleveland, right?
Yes.
And it's around Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 5 degrees outside. They can't win that game.
Okay.
That's where it's all going to come crashing down for the Dolphins. It's all going to come to a head.
At the moment, is that the Sunday night game? Is that right?
Oh, there's no way it's worse than. So I was panicked when I saw what the Monday night game was for next week because I didn't realize it was another Monday night doubleheader next week. Weird stuff this week in the NFL. Monday night doubleheader. One of the games. Falcons-Raiders. Because when I saw that Falcons-Raiders was Monday Night Football, I'm like, why in the ever-loving F did they put Monday Night Football flexing in to not flex out of that game? And it was because I didn't realize it was a doubleheader. I believe the other game is Vikings-Bears, which isn't great, but will be the one that will get our attention next week because it's not Falcons-Raiders. And, gross. I still don't really know why they didn't flex out. And what is the point of having the Monday Night Football flex if you're going to get bad games and not flex out of them? I don't really understand. I guess in their mind, they've got the Vikings are good and Chicago's a big market, so like that's good enough. But it's very weird. Also this week, oddly, both CBS and Fox get doubleheaders this week. So
we get 4
it's
games,
like
is what you're saying?
this is the way it normally goes, the week 18, where both networks get doubleheaders. For some reason, this week, both networks get doubleheaders. So if you don't have the ticket or the Red Zone channel, you'll get the most football on a Sunday that you can get all season long this week because you'll get local TV games at 1 and 4:25.
Nice.
So why that's the case,
Sweet.
I don't know, but that's the case for this week. Ravens did get back onto the practice field yesterday.
First round of fantasy playoffs, that's why.
So they won.
Yeah.
I mean, I get maybe. Who knows? I really don't know. The Ravens did get back onto the practice field yesterday, and basically everybody was there. Sanusi Kane wasn't, and that's a bummer. But not really. I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Sanusi Kane. That's not going to be the difference maker. The good news being that Kyle Van Noy was back on the practice field and Rashad Bateman was back on the practice field. So there's that. John Harbaugh was asked about Diontae Johnson, and he played the card. He said, nope, we're not talking about it. And apparently so did all the other receivers that spoke in the locker room yesterday. This according to Jeff Zrebeck. Both Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman said that the Diontae Johnson situation is not a situation. Flowers also said that he'd absolutely be welcome back. I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, the part of the story that we don't know and that they're doing, to their credit, they're doing a great job of keeping buttoned up is what were the circumstances? Because as I said a couple times, if it was the final drive of the game, that is a lot different than if it was in the start of the third quarter. If the players, and maybe this is, again, the players just all being willing to buy in. For what it's worth, the fact that the information hasn't come out, for everybody that thinks there is upheaval within the organization, the fact that they have kept tight lips about this situation would probably suggest the exact opposite, which is that they are on the same page. They're all willing to say, hey, we're not talking about this. We're not making this the thing that you want it to be. We're not doing that. And if there was true upheaval within the club, within the organization, then it would be more likely for someone to leak something to try to throw someone under the bus. I don't know that that means anything. Again, I don't know how much we really care about whether or not Diontae Johnson plays next week. I don't know what difference it makes to the Baltimore Ravens if Diontae Johnson's on the field. But to their credit, they are keeping this as close to the vest as you would possibly think that someone can keep something close to the vest. We'll see what happens after the Giants game. I still don't get it. I still don't know how, but if there's a path forward, there's a path forward, and they'll deal with that then. But, again, the good news from yesterday, the guys that had missed the Eagles game were both back, and then we'll find out if Travis Jones might be able to return. Travis Jones, someone who had been really helpful. Apparently, John Harbaugh said that he was a full participant in practice, as they are both he and Michael Pierce. Sorry, Travis Jones was on the practice. It's Michael Pierce and TJ Tampa who are in their return windows, and both those guys were on the practice field yesterday as well. So we will see. Apparently, the Giants are planning to start Drew Lock, and yeah, you want some rat poison, you'll take a look at that line. The line for Ravens-Giants apparently slated to be the largest line of any NFL game all season, which just feels as rat poison-y as rat poison gets. I hate that. I didn't see if it moved. It started at 15. I didn't see if it moved anywhere as the day went on. But yuck. That's gross. That is. I don't know what you do with that. I get it. The Giants stink, man. Like, they are terrible. But I don't know how good any of us are feeling about the Ravens at the moment. I don't know how any of us feel about the idea of them covering such a massive number. right, you're not waiting for me to take like a commercial break. All right, just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. Today's show is also brought to you by the CIAA tournament, which is back in Baltimore. We've told you about it a couple of times, and they are offering you a cool holiday deal on tickets. You can save $10 on single-session general admission tickets when you go to CIAAtournament.org. That's CIAAtournament.org. Go there and use the code HOLIDAY when you purchase your tickets, and you'll save $10 on single-session general admission tickets for the CIAA tournament, which returns February 25th to March 1st at CFG Bank Arena. Again, CIAAtournament.org is the website. The code is HOLIDAY for you to save $10 on those single-session general admission tickets. Great event, raucous atmosphere. Grateful to have it back in Baltimore. So make sure you're supporting it. CIAAtournament.org. The code is HOLIDAY. Well, as we mentioned earlier, could quite possibly be some history made on Sunday. Not in Baltimore. The game's being played in New Jersey. But as we come into this game between the Ravens and the Giants, Mark Andrews, Ravens tight end, currently sits at 47 career touchdowns, which has him tied for the most all-time in franchise history with our next guest, one of the greatest players in the history of the Baltimore Ravens, one of my favorites. It's always a pleasure to welcome back to the show Ravens legend, Mr. Jamal Lewis, who's with us this morning here on GCR. Jamal, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's been far too long, man. It's always great to catch up with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Hey, same here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, great to hear your voice. And I know, knowing you, you're excited, you're happy for Mark. Is there any small part of you that really was like, man, I kind of love being the Ravens all-time leader in touchdowns? I'm going to miss that a little bit.
Yeah. That is something that you kind of hold on to or whatever, and the history of the franchise, being so young and everything, it's just it's just a great thing, But it's good to see Mark, embarking on that, on that record or whatever. Records are made to be broken. You know what I'm saying? And I think there'll be a lot of that. I've been getting a lot of calls here about numbers being broken and everything else. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. He's had a great career, and coming off an injury last year, bouncing back and doing his thing and doing what we're used to seeing him doing. That's score touchdowns. So
yeah,
need him to score more so we can get through a good season and get to the playoffs.
No, I'm with you on that, right? Like that. Let's maybe 4 per game. Maybe he ends up doubling your record by the time this season is over. That would be good.
Exactly. No, he has some good tools, man. He has some good tools, and that offense, it's figuring itself out or whatever, and it's good to see him back in the fold,
No, I completely agree with what you're saying, Jamal. I also appreciate what you say. I think his story is really cool too, right? Like he wasn't even the first tight end the Ravens drafted that year. I think we all remember that was the same year as they drafted Lamar Jackson. They had drafted Hayden Hurst earlier in that draft. The way that he has become not just this great player, but also the type of person he is. And, we know the work that he does for the diabetic community, and there was the story this year of him stepping in a medical emergency on a plane. He's become such a model Baltimore Raven. I can tell you stories of he's come out to do events and has just stayed out for hours taking pictures and signing autographs. How much more meaningful is it that he's become such a quality human and is going into that category of among, like you are, the great Ravens of all time?
Well, you know what I mean? It's a lot of guys that stepped foot in that building, and there's a lot of guys that's left there and left their mark. And I think that he's one of those guys that, is going to leave his mark, in Baltimore. And he's a prime example of, play like a Raven and just what the Ravens mean in the community and everything else, But like you said, he wasn't the first tight end taken or whatever, but he has stepped up. And I just remember going down I think last year, you know, it was like, wow, what are we going to do? You know, because he's just a scoring machine, you know, and we have a great list of tight ends that came through the Ravens, and Shannon Sharp and Todd Heap, and now, you know, Mark Andrews. You know, he's just the prime definition of what a Raven is, and how you should be in the community, how you should play on the field, and everything else. And it's just it's good to see him, you know, bouncing back. And I've been there before, you know, going through an injury and everything, and having to rehab and go through everything, and hope that you get back to where you were, you know, or whatever. And you know, me coming back, going for 2,000 yards, you know, and things of that nature, and just he's doing that, you know, and it's good to see that, you know what I'm saying, and he's all around just a great guy, and it's just great to see him flourishing and bouncing back the way he is.
Man, that's really cool. It gives me like goosebumps hearing you talk about that and how significant it is, because, you know, I'm the biggest Jamal Lewis fan in the world. So that's a really cool thing. Jamal Lewis is with us this morning. Right now, he and Mark Andrews tied together atop the Ravens' all-time touchdown list. And likely that's going to be changing here very soon, because that's the pace that Mark Andrews is on at the moment. Jamal, because we have you, I'd love to catch up. I know you are a business, like Jay-Z once said, I'm a businessman. What's going on in your world? What are you up to these days? Because I know you are constantly moving.
Oh, yeah, man. I just, you know, with my businesses there, you know, a good year, you know, with Southeast Vegas and events, and also Buyer Connected, you know, those are my businesses, and that's kind of what I do day to day. But outside of that, you know, I got a 9th grade son that's playing varsity football and trying to go through. He's going through the circuit, so following him around and going through the recruiting process and everything else, that keeps me busy. But at the same time, man, everything's good with me. I can't complain, and I have not made it up to a game yet this year. Trying to make my way up. Hopefully, we can go deep in the playoffs so I can make it up there and see my guys. But it's been an exciting season, and I'm loving it, and love seeing Derrick Henry run the football. It looks like old football.
Man, every time it's so funny how many times your name has come up as we talked about Derrick Henry this season, right? Like it's just there's something very old school, and I was a younger man. I'm 41 now, so your era, the era of you and Eddie and Fred Taylor and Corey Dillon and Jerome Bettis, like that era of football is really meaningful to me, and it's saddened to me to see the way that running backs have been devalued over the last few years. Clearly, not just Derrick, but with Saquon Barkley, who's a different type of player. He's not the same as you, but like, you know, seeing this sort of old school throwback pound the rock, wear guys down. How special is it to you to watch what Derrick Henry's doing in Baltimore now?
Man, it's good. It's good. It's just, you know, it's good to see, you know, after, you know, a lot of talk about the running back position being devalued and everything, and just where the running is right now in the NFL. I think that Derrick Henry and Saquon, they've actually stepped up to the plate, and they're delivering. You know, they're showing that, hey, look, you need a running game. When that passing game is short, defenses are stacking up against the pass, and, you know, guys are getting better on the back end. So guess what? You got to lean on that running game, and that's what they're doing. But it's very exciting to see Derrick Henry come into the, you know, put on that Ravens uniform and just get downhill and just run it. It just looks like the Ravens of old. But you have Lamar Jackson. You have a whole lot of weapons over there. Mark Andrews, Likely, Zay Flowers. You know, they're delivering, man. And I think that they have so many weapons. It's like, who do we get the ball to, and how do we distribute this thing? You know. But it's exciting to see Derrick Henry run the ball and get that attention. He's got me a lot of attention too, just with interviews and everything else. So I do appreciate that. But it's good to see the running game kind of creeping back and it's actually being needed and used and contributing to what the offense is doing right now. So hopefully we can keep that going, and there'll be another great group of of guys that come out, in the drafts, in years to come.
Jamal, it's funny because, and we're chatting with Jamal Lewis here on GCR, a lot of people have pointed out, like, Derrick Henry makes this, like, face when he's running the ball. It's almost psychotic, right? Like, it's hilarious to see. I wonder for you, did you get to places in games where you just knew, like, and it was obviously a different era of defense, and these were better probably defenses on the whole that you were facing, but did you get to places in games where you just, like, knew, like, these guys don't want this? Like, they are not up for 4 quarters of the punishment that I'm about to deliver to them. Did you have moments in games where you just knew that you had broken the will, broken the spirit of the defensive fronts that you were going up against?
Oh yeah, most definitely. When you get over there and you get through the first and second quarter, and guys are all hyped, and the defenses are trying to stop you because the scout report and the defensive coordinator and their linebacker coaches and defensive line coaches have been in their ass all week.
Right.
Just kind of, hey, we got to stop this guy. We got to stop this guy. Once that wears off, after the second quarter, the third quarter and fourth quarter is where it really happens. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you look over there and you see guys, they don't want it no more. They're just trying to get to Wednesday so they can get their check. So, it's, their eyes are big, and they're like, look, please don't give it to them anymore. And that's when you got them. And that's where the big runs come in at. And, that's when you have a good day, when you can actually see that. So, it's good seeing Derrick Henry, and I watch it, and I know it. I'm like, okay, there's 3 yards, there's 4 yards, there's 3 yards, and next thing there's 20, and then there's 30. And then all of a sudden, in the third and fourth quarter, he breaks off a big, 50 to 60-yard run, and it's like, damn, they just didn't want it. Somebody laid down, I can tell you that.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. And it's wild to see that. Those are crazy moments. Jamal, we were talking about Mark and you're among the great players in franchise history. Another player who's among the great players in franchise history is Justin Tucker. And you know a thing or two about good kickers, right? Like, obviously, we know that Matt Stover was really good for your guys. But Justin Tucker's been a different animal, and all of a sudden, it's not going the same way this season. What does that do to a team? Like, when you're doing things right and you look up and you say, my gosh, if our kicker would have just made this kick, we would have won this game. Like, what does that do to a team? And does it matter that it's Justin Tucker? Do you feel like inside that locker room, they're more inclined to give grace and to not lose their minds because they know how good someone is, the same way that, once upon a time, Matt Stover did miss 3 kicks on a Sunday night?
Man, you know what? With those kickers, man, it's like, it's sad to see, because it's a position of perfection, and I watched Matt Stover, I watched Phil Dawson, I played with some great kickers.
Yeah.
Right. And they're always working, they're always trying to be better, they're always trying to work their strengths and everything else, man. And knowing Justin Tucker, knowing him and just how hard he works and how much he prides himself on being perfect. It's just sad to see, him go through a slump, right? It's almost like a baseball player. He's in a slump and he's trying to find it. And I hope he finds it, and I think he will find it. It's just when you're in the heat of it all, it's like, hey, we got to go play next Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or we got to go play next Monday or Thursday. It's like you don't have time to kind of just work it. But I hope mentally, he can see through it and get back to where he was. But, in the locker room, they depended on him. He got them through a lot of games, a lot of close games or whatever. And it's just one of those things where, man, it's just, he's a professional. Harbaugh and the organization, I think they'll handle it the right way. But at the same time, this is a game of, hey, what have you done for me lately? You know what I'm saying? And what can you do for me now? Because we're in a run, and we're in a run for it. But I think that with that locker room, they'll bear with it, and they'll he can lean on anybody in that locker room, and all the guys know what he's capable of. But it's just one of those things. I've been through that. A lot of guys have been through that slump where it's just not hitting. But I think that he'll get through it. He's a pro. I just think it's more mental than anything else, and he just got to push his way through that.
All right, most important question: trip to Columbus for Tennessee. How you feeling about a first-round playoff matchup? I don't know what it is. Ohio State's normally really good as long as they're not playing Michigan. What do you make of it?
Man, let me tell you, it's just good that you're even asking that question.
Yeah.
Especially, where we were 5 to 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's just great to be asked that question. You know, and we're in the hunt. We're in the hunt. We're in the thick of it, but we got to go to Ohio State. It's going to be cold, but I think that Nico will find his rhythm, and our defense will play some good ball, and I think we can see our way through to Pasadena. So I already got my tickets to Pasadena, so that's where we end up. So I'm just happy you was able to ask the question. So there it is.
All right, so the important question, because I was doing a little social media perusing, you brought up your son earlier. I saw that he took, a visit to Georgia. And I know that, you're a Georgia guy, but, how would you handle that? What if that's where it ended up being, and, the Sunday, you're a Saturday afternoon Tennessee-Georgia game, are you doing the half-jersey thing? Are you saying, son, I love you, but I'll never put that color on? What would that be like if it ended up being that?
Man, let me tell you something. I played against Kirby Smart in college, and that would really be something special and crazy at the same time. But for him to go to Georgia and go there for a family visit, to the game, it was a little different. I'll tell you that. But, hey, look, if he gets to go to the University of Georgia, I think that'll be, it'll be great. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think that they have to go through Knoxville. You know what I mean? He loves the ball. But Georgia is, they won two
no doubt.
Back to, so hey, look, if that's where the fit is, that's where we'll be. But at the same time, he's just filling it out, man, and we loving the process.
Man, it'd be wild, and that's really cool, and I'm really happy for you and your family. Jamal Lewis, man, it's always great to catch up with you. Of course, folks can follow you. It's at Jamal31 Lewis, and hopefully we're seeing you here in Baltimore. And worst case, hopefully we're seeing you in New Orleans in early February,
right.
And we're getting together down there.
Right.
That would be the plan. Jamal, always appreciate you, brother. Thank you for taking the time for us. Let's talk again real soon. All right, happy holidays to you and your family.
Hey, no problem. You do the same.
It's Jamal Lewis with us here on GCR. Look, I'm not, when I say these words, I know it's not just me. Jamal Lewis is essentially at the top. Derek Mason's really high on my list. Anquan Bolden's really high on my list. But, favorite Baltimore Ravens of all time, Jamal Lewis, there ain't, I don't know how many would be above Jamal Lewis on the list. Just because that was what we had for a long time to root for. Every Sunday we get together and say, hopefully Jamal will run for 500 yards today. And it was a joy to watch that dude play football. Can we take a break, or do we just want to call Patrick? You tell me.
We can take a break.
We'll grab a break. When we come back in, we'll talk Terps and Hoops. Patrick Stevens. That's next. GCR. Maybe we can't.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
PressBox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/gameday or PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, EasyPass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/gameday.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
If you missed anything from championship weekend down in Annapolis, there were 6 state high school football titles handed out. And if you missed the scores, the results, there was some big drama in a few of these games. Anything that you might have missed, you can find it right now. countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. And, of course, as you heard in that last break, the Governor's Challenge is coming up. We are transitioning into high school basketball season, already underway for the private schools. You can find all that information as well. countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. All right, it's Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we talk Terps, college hoops with our next guest. He is, of course, our friend, the great Patrick Stevens at Discourse, D1S Course on Blue Sky, Washington Post, USA Lacrosse Magazine, among other places. Patrick, good morning. How are you, my friend?
I am well, Glenn. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. Obviously, there is no shame for the University of Maryland in losing a hard-fought battle by 5 points on the road at Purdue. The opportunity cost of what it could have meant had they been able to hold on and figure out a way to win the game, perhaps is worth discussing. But I don't know. There's nothing that would make you say, they went out and lost a hard-fought game at Purdue. Well, Maryland's not for real.
Yeah, that was not that's certain. I thought that was a house money game for Maryland, quite candidly, especially after what they did to Ohio State at home on Wednesday. You know, when you look at the rest of the Big Ten, there are opportunities to go get those again. You know, they go to Oregon later on in the season. They go to Penn State, which is actually a decent opportunity. There are a handful of those scattered throughout the league schedule that they're going to be able, if they need to go get a quality road victory. Michigan, Ohio State, Illinois, maybe even Indiana if they turn out to be okay. So, you know, losing that game, really not a huge opportunity cost. It would be much worse if they were in another league and there were only like 2 or 3 other good teams.
Yeah.
If you're in the ACC this year and you don't beat like Duke or Clemson or Pitt or somebody like that, then you're suddenly in a lot of trouble. The Big Ten, I'm not about to hype the league up to anything great because I am eternally suspicious. But
Right.
in terms of the actual non-conference performances and how that's going to get evaluated come March, it's pretty clear that while the Big Ten might not be SEC good this season and have that much sort of grace kind of built into everything, there's still going to be a ton of opportunities. And so if you're Maryland, you've just about done your job to this point. And I thought the job for them coming into the season, and especially after they got through that Marquette game, was win 2 of your 3 big non-conference games. So they've split the first 2, Marquette and Villanova, and then split your 2 league games, Ohio State and Purdue, which they've done, and then win the rest of the games. And they've not just won the rest of the games, they've won the rest of the games by a lot. So, they are checking all of the boxes to this point. If they can get 2 New Year's at 11-2 going out west for a couple games, it's going to be pretty easy to look at that and say, gosh, if you can simply get yourself to 20, 21 wins or so, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Is there – I think after the Ohio State game, there were people that wanted to ask if it was time to recalibrate what the expectations were. And clearly, if they had gone out and finished a win over Purdue, I think that conversation would have been louder. But I guess maybe if we looked at it at this moment, like what's the high end of what this team has shown? And where does the floor appear to be reasonably? Like, presuming that guys aren't getting hurt and that they aren't losing pieces, what does it look like the top end and the floor are for this team at this moment?
Well, I think the interesting thing to me is that the general assumption for this particular Maryland team was going to be, okay, their defense probably isn't going to be as good as it was last year, but It doesn't need to be. And by the metrics, and granted, there's a lot of bad opponents that are cycled in there, but by the metrics, they're actually about the same defensively as they were last season. Actually, a little bit better in KenPom. I think that gets evened out a little bit with more league games and all that. But the offense is a top 40 offense at this point. And if you're not realistically going to get Jacoby Gillespie to play as well as he did against Ohio State every single game. But there's nothing that's been seen so far to suggest that he's not going to be really what they need as a point guard. They have a guy that can shoot threes in Rodney Rice. They have a guy that, if you're sitting here thinking about great Maryland teams, like Selton Miguel is playing the Byron Mouton role on this team as a guy that just does a bunch of stuff. And then you've got 2 credible bigs, and most teams don't have that. Think about this. Like Maryland, plays a 5-point game at Purdue, and Julian Reese is foul trouble. It really doesn't do a whole lot.
Yep.
So, I think one of the things that we can definitely take from some of these high-end games, let's just kind of run through the Derek Queen lines in the major tests so far. 24-7 against Marquette, 22-11 against Villanova, 17-11 against Ohio State, 26-12 against Purdue. It was kind of easy to kind of sit there with some of the non-conference games like Mount St. Mary's and go, is he particularly engaged in this? Is he going to, what's that? Is the effort level going to be a question? The effort level does not look like it's going to be a question. No. The watching him against Ohio State, the footwork, all of that stuff, it really, really impressed. And obviously the other night you put 26-12 up on Purdue in Mackey. That's pretty darn good.
Yep.
So I think that in terms of what's this team's ceiling, I don't know if I really want to put a 3 seed or 4 seed or something like that. They could be a league contender based on what we've seen in terms of the consistency. You could argue that the worst showing that they've had was that Villanova game, and they still came back and won it, right? I would say that was probably a weaker performance than what they did against either Marquette or Purdue. So I think that if you're Maryland, you probably feel at this point like, you ought to be wearing a home jersey in the first round of the NCAA tournament at minimum.
Right.
And as we just talked about a little bit ago, between the Big Ten and the SEC, those are the leagues that are probably going to get the most credit for what they do in league play, just based on what all of their teams in aggregate have done outside of league play. So the path to being even a 6 or 7 or 8 seed is probably a little bit easier if you're hanging around 500 in those two leagues and the Big 12 too than pretty much anywhere else.
Maybe some irony that on Sunday with the story for Purdue was guard play, right? Like it wasn't, for as much as we made of Purdue being dependent on a big man, all of a sudden it's a different story. And boy, Braden Smith is really good, man.
Yes, and the thing is that this is where Purdue gets the payoff for all of that experience that Smith and Fletcher Lawyer got 2 years ago. And that was, remember, that's a team that's a number 1 seed, and Zach Edey's carrying them. And it was obvious last year, like it wasn't just the Zach Edey show. It was very much like, Smith was a lot better and Lawyer had improved and all that. And now, Smith is really, really good. Yeah. And one of the best guards in the league, if not the country. So, Purdue, that's a game again. Purdue's 8-2 right now. Nobody should be surprised if we're looking up going into the Big Ten tournament and Purdue sitting there at like 24-7 or something along those lines, or 25-6. Like that's a really good showing, even without, even with the loss. Certainly nothing for Maryland to feel bad about for what it was able to do on Sunday. Now, I think the one question, if you want to sit there and say what stands out as like what could hurt this team, you mentioned the possibility of injury. I still wonder about depth.
Yep.
They basically went with a 7-man rotation the other day. Yep. I mean, Malachi Palmer had that cameo at the end, and Jordan Geronimo played a minute in his return. Jay Young if they can just get 10 solid minutes out of Jay Young, that probably helps them out a ton. But that to me is the question. Do you ultimately have 8 guys that you can trust to play double-digit minutes? But at the same time, you get to late in the season, you're probably going to have minutes numbers a lot like what you saw on Sunday with guys playing 35, 36, 37.
No, it was a stark difference between Wednesday and Sunday, obviously, because on Wednesday you said, "Wow, Tafari Kapari, like this could be a revelation in the depth situation," and then obviously he was a non-factor again on Sunday, and just a realization that there's probably a reason why he's in the role that he's in for this team. Patrick Stevens with us here on GCR. Patrick, on the local front, does UMBC's comfortable win over Towson tell us more about like the way that the UMBC team is coming along, or more about how the injury issues have really plagued Towson?
Well, I mean, Towson did get Christian May and Tyler Tejada back for that, and so I think one of the things you look at for
I have to apologize. I didn't even realize that. I'm so sorry.
So,
I screwed up.
So no.
Yeah.
So Tejada played reasonably well in 31 minutes. May did not play particularly, productively in his 30 minutes. Towson has an issue with the 5 in that, it's kind of the guys that they were counting on there have been pretty erratic. And frankly, their best solution at the moment is a guy named Mekhi Lowry, who's just been a really high energy guy. And he had another 12 and 11 in that game. Now he's undersized. It's 6'7", 205. He's not reminding you of Charles Thompson, but the effort kind of reminds you of Charles Thompson a little bit. So, I think they do need to integrate some guys back into the rotation. I mean, they just haven't been complete here for almost a month now. So, I think for Towson, they have Duquesne, Robert Morris, Bryant to close out non-conference play. Those are all winnable games for them. Can they get to above 500 and then attack the CAA from there? Certainly possible. As for UMBC, they shot 40% from 3. And for them, like that's kind of how they're built. They took advantage of the matchup issue with Louis Jordan, the forward from Weber State, and he hit 3 threes. Marcus Banks had 5 threes. Ace Valentine had a really solid day, 17 points on 7 and 9 shooting with 2 boards and 4 assists, just really solid. And so, I've seen UMBC in person 4 times now, 3 at home in non-conference games, and then a 4th down at Georgetown. And, they're not big. They do have some limitations that way, but if they're running the ball and they're shooting the ball well, man, they're a tough out. And so I keep thinking every time I see them, maybe with the exception of that Georgetown game, like maybe they're a little bit better than I thought they were going to be. I'm actually kind of surprised that they tightened their rotation down to 8 for that Towson game. But, I think overall UMBC has certainly done some impressive things to this point. Certainly looking forward to seeing what they're able to do once they get into conference play.
Doesn't seem like there's much else really to be said in the local front, unfortunately.
I was up at Mount St. Mary's on Sunday, and they dropped 100 points in a conference game for the first time in a dozen years.
All right.
So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about them having beaten. They basically had quite the weird weekend. They went up to Marist for their conference opener, and Marist is coached by a guy named John Dunn, who used to be at St. Peter's and has long, sort of specialized in winning these ugly, grinded out games. And his teams are always really well coached, but they're not always a lot of fun to watch. And Marist won that game 53-50. And Mount St. Mary's turns around and has almost 50 points at halftime against Fairfield.
Wow.
And shot the snot out of the ball that day. A 101-94 the final. They had 6 guys in double figures led by J.D. Cordelia. And if you're Mount St. Mary's and you're 6-3 now with, kind of a coin toss loss to Marist and then the losses to Georgetown and Maryland in bye games, that's a really good start for Donnie Lynn. You've now split your first 2 league games. You don't have to worry about going back into conference play until January. Now you got Loyola coming to town for the Catholic Clash on Saturday, which is a game I highly recommend for any local college hoops fan to take in at least once. That's Saturday up at Knott Arena at 7 o'clock.
I've had the chance to work that game a couple of times. That is a special one. And then on the national front, Patrick, obviously a wild week, right, with Kansas losing a couple of games. And Tennessee's the new number 1 team in the country. Is Tennessee the best team in the country?
Who knows at this point? I mean, they certainly haven't lost a game, right?
Right.
And they'll get a nice test on Saturday against Illinois. They play a really struggling Miami team in the Jimmy V Classic tonight. What has Tennessee done? They've won at Louisville and beat Baylor on a neutral court, and you start getting into things like, they beat Syracuse and Virginia. Okay, they're a good defensive team as you would expect them to be, but it's still very, very early, and me, I don't really pay too close attention to the rankings anyway. So you just informed me that Tennessee was the number 1 team in the country. So
I tell you, I did get to watch after all the football on Saturday night. I watched a good bit of the Kentucky-Gonzaga game as that game ended up going to overtime. I mean, that game ruled. Like, that could not have been more entertaining. They played it out in Seattle. And I did not know about this streak that Gonzaga had of, I think it was something like 175 consecutive games they had won when they had a double-digit halftime lead, which came to an end. But they fell behind by 8 in overtime and still got it back to a chance where they had the ball late with a shot to win. Boy, it was a bummer that it was on so late because that was a great game on Saturday night.
Unfortunately, I was on football duty.
I'm sure you were loving life.
Yes, I was. Now, granted, the end of the ACC title game was pretty hilarious, all things considered.
Yeah.
But I would say that was certainly something that I missed out on, being able to truly take that game in, because I think those are 2 teams that we're going to hear from second weekend of the tournament once it becomes sort of all right. If you get that far, it's all right. It's sort of a deal of matchups and who happens to have a hot hand. So, but I would fully anticipate that both of those teams are teams that you're going to have plenty of opportunities to see play meaningful games again later in the season.
All right, let's play the game. Can Patrick Stevens name the MLB teams that this particular player has played for or managed? I was going to try to give a nod to Dick Allen, but he never. I didn't realize that Dick Allen's career ended in '77, so he comes up short.
Well, we can do Dick Allen.
You want to do Dick Allen?
Why don't we do the Hall of Famers, right?
All right. I think we did Dave Parker before, but obviously it's been a while. We'll just do them both. All right. So we'll begin.
Okay.
Hang on. I just got to make sure I have the right number of teams because I'm not prepared here. Dick Allen, 5 teams for newly elected Hall of Famer Dick Allen.
Dick Allen. Philadelphia Phillies.
Of course.
He was a St. Louis Cardinal.
He was.
He was an L.A. Dodger.
Ooh.
He was a White Sox.
Yes.
And he was an Oakland A at the end, I believe.
Look at that for Dick Allen. And then, of course, the other one that was elected by I think this is the Classic era was the committee that elected these was, of course, the Cobra, Dave Parker. 6 teams for Dave Parker.
6 teams for Dave Parker. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. We've got Oakland.
Yep.
And then the Angels, Milwaukee, and Toronto.
There you go. Do you want one more just for funsies, or you just want to cap it?
Did you have a manager you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, this one, I got to be honest with you. The playing career is tricky for this one. It's a combined one. 5 teams combined player and manager for Art Howe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, one of the player, there is a crossover. One he played for and managed. So it's 3.
The team he managed and played for was Houston.
Of course,
correct?
yes.
And then also he was in Oakland and with the Mets.
Yes, those are the managerial. So yes, there's 2 other, both multi-year stops as a player.
Okay. Was he in Kansas City?
No.
Was he in St. Louis?
Yes, that's the one. St. Louis is the other one. He also played 74 and 75 with the Pittsburgh Pirates was the other stop for Art Howe. I know it is a lean week, hoops-wise.
It is a very lean week, hoops-wise.
Anything at all on your docket?
I'm going to go down to Charlottesville to see Virginia play Bethune-Cookman just to get some sort of hoops on Thursday. And then GW has Army on Friday, so we'll look at a Patriot League team. Army doing a nifty thing where they're having their basketball team play.
Oh, in DC.
The night before Army Navy.
That's really cool. That's a really cool idea.
Then the Catholic Clash, like we mentioned, on Saturday up in Emmitsburg, and then Sunday Morgan State, which I believe has just completed the non-Division I portion of its schedule. That part went well. Everything else has not.
Yeah.
But they're 5-7. They play Xavier tonight. They play at home on Campbell in their final non-conference home game of the season.
All right. At Discourse, D1S Course on Blue Sky is how you follow him. He's still technically on Twitter, but follow him on Blue Sky if you want the good stuff. Patrick Stevens, appreciate you, my friend. Have a great week. Let's talk again next Tuesday, all right?
Awesome, Glenn. Take care.
The great Patrick Stevens with us here on GCR, as he is every week, talking hoops. Speaking of hoops, I have no idea what to make of this. This was just tweeted by Shams. AJ DeBansa, the top-ranked prospect in the 2026 NBA draft class, has committed to...
I'm supposed to guess. He's going to play somewhere in Slovenia.
No, it's a college.
Oh, okay.
It is college basketball related. He's committed to.
Let's go.
If I give you
UC Irvine, like is it?
I'm going to give you 10 guesses.
Memphis.
No.
Duke.
No.
Okay, so the way like that you're making it sound like it's interesting. Wisconsin. Like
not Wisconsin.
Minnesota.
Not Minnesota.
Like it makes sense or doesn't make sense?
I don't know. I don't know if there's something I don't know.
All right. I want to give like Maine.
Not Maine. That's where Nick Gaynor Medley was from.
Binghamton.
Not Binghamton.
Is it UT Martin?
I'm gonna because you only have 3 guesses left. I will tell you it is. What do we?
Mid-major or like a power?
It's not a mid-major.
Okay.
It's one of the power conferences. I guess we still include the big.
Is it going to get two bids?
Yes, it will be a league that gets multi-bids. It's a multi-bid league.
It's DA10.
You have 3 guesses left.
Dayton.
No.
Is that the right conference?
Not the A10.
Okay. Is it?
It's a definite. It's not like it could get. It's a definite multi-bid league.
Okay. Like the Mountain West, or like it's you're saying it's like Power 4, Power 5 here.
If I don't know what we call. That's the problem. Is I don't know what we call that
the Big
anymore.
East, is that what
the Big East is still part? No, the Big East is definitely. So I would say it's a Power 5 in it's 4 in football. It's 5 in basketball because the Big East is also 1 in basketball. So they're a Power 5.
All right.
It's not Creighton. 2 more. 2 guesses left.
St. John's.
Not St. John's.
I might want to play it for Patino. Is it a Big East team? Or?
I'll give you that. It's not a Big East team.
Right. So this is my final guess, or I have 2
final
more?
guess.
Okay.
Fine, you got 2 more, whatever. It's not the Big East.
Ole Miss.
It's not Ole Miss. It's not the SEC.
Well, I don't think it's Maryland.
I'll give you that. It's not Maryland. Probably would have been a bigger story.
Let's go with SMU.
It's not an ACC team.
What conference is it? So it's Big 12? Baylor.
It is the Big 12. It's not Baylor.
Colorado.
It's not Colorado.
I almost said Missouri, and then I was like, no, they're not.
They're not in the Big 12. They were once upon a time. It's been some time since they've been in the Big 12.
BYU. I'm trying to.
BYU.
It is BYU. Knew it.
A.J. DeBansa, the top-ranked prospect in the 2026 NBA draft class, is committed to Brigham Young University. He announces on ESPN's First Take. Landmark day for the BYU Cougars.
Is he from Utah?
I don't know anything. I got nothing here. I've got nothing to add to the conversation. A.J. DeBansa is from Brockton, Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah, so Binghamton would have been like kind of Binghamton or Maine.
However, he apparently is attending Utah Prep.
Ah, there it is.
So DeBansa transferred to Prolific Prep in Napa, California at the end of his freshman year. And then he's going to conclude his high school basketball career at Utah Prep in Hurricane, Utah. I don't know, dog. I don't know. Schools that are under consideration were Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Baylor, BYU, UConn, Duke, Georgia Tech, Georgetown, Kentucky, North Carolina, Providence, USC, Utah, and Washington. And he chose BYU. Hey, man. I don't know. I good for BYU, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Good for them. They lose a coach, but they gain the top player in the country. So they got that going for them, which is nice. We're into hour number 2 of today's show. Today's show is also brought to you by Project Game Day, which does return this Sunday immediately following Ravens-Giants. Come hang out with us, PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Governor's Challenge, Hartford Holidays, as well as 1-800-GAMBLER. And Easy Pass. Come see us Sunday. Myself, Rita, Femi, KZ, Stecca, the whole crew, immediately following Ravens-Giants. Griffin will be there. Conclusion of the game, we'll be hanging out with you, PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay. Hopefully you are into your fantasy football playoffs. And if you are, then you need to get your lineup set. Joining us now to try to help us out and preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday, he is PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst Joe Serpico, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. Joe, good morning, bud. How are you?
Glenn, how's it going, my friend? Made the playoffs in my only 3 redraft leagues, and cashed in 4 of my 10 best ball leagues. So it's been a good regular season for your buddy over here.
That is very, very good. All right, so for everyone that was very excited because they spent all of their fab money on Isaac Guerendo, and Isaac Guerendo went off. Where are we at now with Isaac Guerendo and the foot injury? And I assume that Patrick Taylor is at least must pick up for Guerendo owners. Is he must pick up for everybody?
Yeah, I'm going to go out and say he is a must pick up for everybody. I mean, we just saw last week with Guerendo how effective it is when the 49ers offense is rolling. He was the guy most people picked up last week, and he finished as RB2 despite the injury. Then Patrick Taylor came in relief of him, and he found the end zone himself. The only thing is now, Patrick Taylor doesn't have the same pop as the rest of his teammates do. The beauty of Gary Endo, and in the past when they had Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and all those guys, they were all, electric speed. Patrick Taylor's not really that guy. He's more of a thumper. So I think, things will change ever so slightly. I don't think you're going to get the same looks in the passing game that you did from the other 4 running backs that are now injured for the 49ers. But, yeah, Patrick Taylor still needs to be rostered, and he is like a lower-end RB2, RB3 for me this week. And we still got to wait and see what is the true status of Gary Endo, too.
So,
I have a feeling he's going to be out this week, but, he might still be available for you for the next 2 weeks.
Is Sincere McCormick a thing?
Of all the guys to pick up this week, I think he's the one that I'm probably going to be most heavily going after. The Raiders know what they have in Zamir White and Alexander Madison at this point. Neither one of them is really game changers. Sincere McCormick has kind of stepped up well in absence of those two. I think they're going to kind of ride it out with him the rest of the way. I like what he brings as a pass catcher. I do think he's one of those guys, again, that could finish as, right outside RB2, RB3 range. So those are the kind of guys I'd much rather have this time of year as opposed to, let's say, a random fifth or sixth receiver that you got no intention of starting the rest of the way.
Let's talk about the Seattle situation, right? Because I feel like it gets complicated now given how well Zach Charbonnet played. Even if, let's just say, Kenneth Walker is available this week, are you starting Walker? Are you starting Charbonnet? Can you not start either because you don't know what it's going to look like? Like, what do you make of that entire situation?
Well, we saw early in the season, Charbonnet had, in relief of Walker, had another excellent game. So whenever he gets full opportunity, you absolutely got to start Charbonnet. But every time that Walker has kind of came back from injury too, it's gone directly to him, and Charbonnet's role has kind of diminished almost entirely. So it is one of those iffy situations, especially this week. If Walker's available, you kind of have to ride him out. Now, if you have Charbonnet as like your third or fourth guy and, you're truly desperate, all right, yeah, you can give him a ride. But I still think all said and done, Charbonnet is probably better left on the bench. But he's a perfect reason of why you stash handcuff running backs this time of year. And like I just said, you don't really need that fourth or fifth receiver. I would much rather have a guy like Charbonnet who's sitting there in the event of an injury as opposed to, let's say a Keon Coleman or Xavier Legette that I'm not ever planning on starting in these playoffs.
He is Joe Serpico, PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst. He is with us here as we preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday, courtesy of Live Casino and Hotel. I know this one's a little bit closer to your heart. If you're an A.J. Brown owner, how are you feeling? I don't know what the other options are, but can you be confident in starting A.J. Brown, given that apparently, despite the fact that the Eagles are really good, he and Jalen Hurts hate each other, and he's not putting up the big numbers that clearly everybody was hoping A.J. Brown was going to be putting up when they drafted him very early this year.
Well, I mentioned that I'm in the playoffs in 3 redraft leagues. Well, A.J. Brown is on all 3 of those teams. He was the one guy I put on pretty much every team this year. So, yeah, I'm one of those guys that, you can't bench him. It's one of those situations. How do you bench arguably a top 10 receiver in the league? But at the same time, yes, you are right. The Eagles' passing offense hasn't been pretty the past couple of weeks. Jalen Hurts' numbers have gone down. I think it's a little bit much to say they hate each other. I think people don't realize how actually close they are off the field. But, yeah, there's definitely something going on with that passing game right now. And I think, Saquon is basically carrying the team right now. And, you always want to feed these receivers. Now, I'm one of those that, all right, there's all this grumbling this week. No, I think this is the week that A.J. Brown, has a game where he goes bananas. So, that's kind of always how it seems to work out. So, yeah, you have to be concerned because he hasn't found the end zone, and I believe it's 4 games now. He's not really hit 100 yards many times this season, too. But how do you bench A.J. Brown, who can go off in any game for 2 touchdowns?
Man, I hear you, but him throwing Jalen Hurts under the bus after they won a football game that is wild, dog. That is wild.
Man, I'm with you.
Brandon Graham, talking about how their relationship is deteriorated. Jesus, dude. That's the type of stuff that's supposed to be happening with the Jets right now, not with the Philadelphia Eagles. Life's supposed to be good when you're winning football games. That is bizarre.
I agree, especially when you're, what's it, a 9-game win streak right now?
Right.
And this is what we're talking about.
Right? That is bizarre, dog. This is the team that's won every time this season that A.J. Brown has played in a football game, and yet somehow A.J. Brown is the problem. What the hell is going on there, man? That is wild stuff. All right, anybody else waiver wire that, now that the season's at stake, anybody else on the waiver wire? And I will now include, tell me about defenses. Tell me about, we're at the point of the season where if you got fab money left over, is there a defense that's available that you would say, if you can go get them, spend fab money because your season's at stake, you want to make sure you have the best unit out there?
Yeah, so kind of what I was saying again before, there's no need for that extra receiver. I'm more confident right now if I have 2 defenses. I'll play a defense, one for this week, and I'll stash another one for next week and just play on the matchups as opposed to, like I said, having this extra receiver that I have no desire to ever start the rest of the way. So, and I'm kind of looking around if your Packers, your Chiefs, your Eagles, and Lions are, somehow available, obviously play those because those are some of the stronger defenses in the league. But if you're looking for more probably readily available teams, it was the 2 teams I kind of alluded to last week, one being the Cardinals. They get the Pats this week and the Panthers next week. And then the Colts, who get the Titans this week, and then the Giants next week. So you can, if you want to pick up both, you want to play Arizona, or you want to play the Colts against the Titans this week, and you want the Cardinals against the Panthers the following, or even vice versa, to be brutally honest, because both teams are playing 4 of the bottom feeders in the NFL. I'm all for stashing both of those guys as opposed to, like I said, keeping, these extra receiver that you don't need or an extra quarterback that you're probably never planning on playing. So, yeah, the 2 that I kind of have my eyes on are the Cardinals and Colts as far as defenses go. And then I can't stress enough, stack as many handcuffs this time of year as possible. We saw just last week between Charbonnet and Gary Endo, they were number 1 and number 2 for running backs this week. They weren't starting last week. So, those are the guys you want to hold on to because they offer you the most upside.
Griffin, you want to get in?
I guess I was just going to ask, how kind of similar to Glenn's question about the Seattle backfield, like looking at kind of the Tampa Bay backfield. How do you break that down now with Bucky Irving getting hurt and then Rachaad White having a big day? Is Sean Tucker suddenly thrown into that mix? And then kind of similar to the Tennessee backfield as well with Tajay Spears back and getting more run and cutting into Tony Pollard's share.
As far as the Bucs go, it's obviously wait and see what's the situation with Bucky Irving. If for some reason Irving is out this week, Tucker does become a guy that I want to stash at the end of my bench just in case they, God forbid, something would happen to White in this week's game. In regards to Seattle, I kind of mentioned that you definitely want to hold on both of those guys and see how it plays out. What was the other one you just mentioned
Tennessee,
to me? It was
Tennessee, Pollard and Spears.
Tennessee. See, I was very big on Spears this year. I thought that would be more of a 50-50 split. We're starting to see that, as we kind of come down the stretch. I'm probably willing to start Pollard, but I'm a little bit hesitant on Spears. And to be honest, I'm a little bit hesitant on the Titans as a whole, just because, like I just mentioned, they're one of those teams that I'm kind of targeting defensive-wise now. So, if you got to pick between all of those people, like I said, Pollard is the guy that would be a must start. Pick up Tucker if Bucky Irving is out. You start White this week. And then the Charbonnet Walker situation, you just kind of wait and see how that plays out this week. I know as somebody who has Charbonnet in 2 leagues, I'm kind of hoping Walker is out one more week.
Me too. Then how about Kansas City as well, like with the Kareem Hunt and Pacheco? Can you trust Pacheco this week?
Yeah, I think we're trying to see now that's slowly shifting over to him. He looks like he's coming back to full strength. So Pacheco's the guy that I'm kind of way more focused on. I know in one of my leagues I saw he was already Kareem Hunt was already dropped, which I can kind of understand. So yeah, Pacheco is definitely kind of taking over that role, and Kareem Hunt looks to be kind of regulated to, let's say, passing downs and some opportunities, but I don't think he's somebody you could start no longer. I'm not sure if I'm dropping him, like I said, somebody did, but I'm definitely not starting him this week. But Pacheco, you can start.
All right, I'm going to get selfish for a minute and go over some of my issues. In my short bench league, do I play Jared Goff or pick up Justin Herbert?
You would have to remind me who the Chargers got this week.
They have the Buccaneers, yeah.
Yeah, that is a pretty juicy matchup. I might go with – how I was with Goff this year, but he's been so hit or miss. He has that good game and he has that terrible game. But then you can say the same thing about Herbert. That's going to be a close one for me. We've seen the Buccaneers get thrown on a ton this year. So why not? Let's go with Justin Herbert at this stage of the season. Because, between – who the Lions got this week? I'm drawing a blank on that too.
The Bills, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, they just gave up 44 points, right?
That's what I mean. Now that I think about that, if they're giving them that many points, then they could be thrown on too. Oh, man. Actually, I think I'll just switch I think I'm going to go Goff. I think he's going to throw all over those Bills. I think everybody can at this point.
All right. I guess I'll stick it out. It's been to your point.
He's my ride or die, so I have to.
That's your guy. I don't feel as strongly about him as you do, but all right.
I guess I'll throw in tight ends real quick. Is Juwan Johnson still the guy, or is Calcaterra? Is that how you say it? Calcaterra. Yeah, Calcaterra. Is he someone anyone tight end needy should be considering?
If those are your 2 options, good Lord. The situation in New Orleans, we've kind of talked about. They have nobody left there to catch the ball other than MVS, and now Juwan Johnson. So we saw him get the end zone. But then, are you really banking your season on Jay Corner and Spencer Rattler to get Juwan Johnson the ball, as opposed to Calcaterra? I'm an Eagles fan, but at the same time, they don't use the tight end a whole lot. I mean, we just talked about how ineffective the passing game has been. So if I got to pick between those two, I'm probably going Johnson, but I'm not feeling uber confident about either.
All right, this one's going to be complicated. If both Kenneth Walker and Guerrero play, if that somehow happens, right, then give me from this group, Guerrero, Walker, Jones, rank those three guys.
Like
Aaron Jones.
Jones,
Sorry. Yeah, Aaron Jones, yes.
Jones, because he's most healthy, would probably be my number one. Yeah, I think that's just too easy. But then, I mean, if Gary Endo plays, it's got to be him, I think.
Okay.
Just based off what we saw last week. And the Walker, like I said,
Right.
even if he does come back healthy, you might still see a 50-50 split.
I get it. So then that's the question. If those two guys are healthy and Walker plays, would you play Walker over A.J. Brown or Cooper Kupp?
Oh, jeez. Over A.J. Brown. Well, not over Cooper Kupp. Over A.J. Brown. Like I said, I have this feeling all that talk this week in Philadelphia is just going to make A.J. Brown have that monster game this week. That's like what's in the back of my I'm benching Walker.
Okay. I get it. I get it.
I'm thinking benching Walker just because of the injury concern. You know, who knows how they play that out. You know, they might say he's starting and then he only gets 10 snaps and then, Charbonnet's running the show.
Oh, God, I can't believe I'm using these words. The Ravens defense against the Giants or the Falcons defense against the Raiders?
Ravens defense. I would much rather trust the defense that we know, what we thought was going to be good coming into this season and has showed signs of life of being much better as of late, as opposed to the Falcons who seem to get steamrolled the past couple of weeks. It doesn't matter who they play, and it doesn't help when Kirk Cousins throwing 10 picks a game.
I think you're right about that.
How about Ravens defense or the Commanders playing the Saints?
I think I still like the Ravens going against the lowly Giants there.
Okay. Dalton Kincaid or Jonnu Smith?
Jonnu Smith.
I think I agree with that. And then in this stupid cockamamie quarterback league, Anthony Richardson or Russell Wilson?
Not Wilson this week against the Eagles' pass defense. We talk about the Eagles' issues on offense, but that defense is still incredible, especially pass defense. So, no, I am avoiding Russell Wilson.
All right, very good. Anything else that needs to be on our radar going into week one of the playoffs?
Pay attention to the schedule. I don't know if anybody else – I was surprised to see that we had 2 Monday Night Football games this week. I can't believe we're still doing that.
Yeah.
Next week we have Saturday games, and then the week after that we got Wednesday, which would be Christmas Day. So just one of those things to make sure you got to check your lineups a little bit earlier these next couple of weeks as opposed to let's say 2 weeks ago when it was nice and easy.
Yeah, at least we have nothing else going on that week to distract us from paying full and complete attention to. At least there's no, stress and shopping and all. We'll have plenty of time to go through. We'll wake up Christmas morning, and all of us will be thinking about, did we get the guys we needed on the waiver wire that week? That's what all of us will. It'll be like Christmas morning. Oh, hey.
Exactly.
Like.
And I guess I just tough.
You can open a present that wins you a championship.
Tough break, Joe. You got me in the draw for the PressBox, and I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but I've won 6 in a row.
I haven't been paying attention.
Dropped 200 points last week.
Do a side bet. Do a side bet.
All right? What should we side?
Do a side bet. I don't know.
I'm gonna win, so as long
Come
as
on.
we know Joe's good for it. So.
That means you're openly rooting against Lamar Jackson this week. So I will take
you have Lamar Jackson? Well, they play in the Giants.
Yes.
Do we even need Lamar?
Yeah, they might bench him, say in the second quarter, right? they might not need that. Come on, come up with something.
I don't know. What's
do something holiday.
What's topical now?
Some eggnog of some sort. What's something?
Chug eggnog.
Yeah, let's chug some eggnog.
Chug eggnog. We could do that. I'm cool with that.
How much eggnog would be
know.
like a half gallon? You got to chug like a.
Oh God.
I would love it.
Is it like milk where it's going to make you sick after the fact if I drink too much?
Well, if you do a gallon,
sure
that's what I didn't say a gallon. I don't want to do that. Like,
he's got a heart over here.
What if you had to beer bong a quart?
Oh my God.
I don't think do you own a beer bong?
No, I don't.
I haven't owned a beer bong in a long time.
I do not own one.
I was going to say I'm a little too old for that.
What if are you? What if
weekends?
What's it appropriate? Figure out what the appropriate amount of, and then you got a beer bong. Like a significant amount of eggnog, whatever. I don't want anybody to die. Like, I don't want any of that. but an appropriate amount that it will be unpleasant and yet, still not life-altering. Can you work on that? And you guys both agree to that?
Just beer bong, some eggnog.
But
That's
it's
what we're
not
doing?
some egg. You're saying some eggnog, like you're leaving it open-ended. It's got to be an uncomfortable amount. An uncomfortable but not life-threatening amount
really
of
anything more than
eggnog.
like a cup seems pretty uncomfortable. So I guess we should do a quart, or should we do
a quart? You're beer bonging a quart of eggnog.
Well, I guess we just agreed to it. Sorry, Chris.
There you go.
There
you go.
All right,
Side
Joe,
bet.
you're going down, Joe.
Side bet for this week.
Yeah.
I got to buy in that league. It's the only league where I got to buy.
Well, guess who you got to face?
The winner of you guys gets me? All right. Very good.
So I guess we got another side bet coming for
back-to-back
next
side bets. I like it. All right, Joe. Appreciate you. At Joe Serp on Twitter. That's how you follow him. PressBoxOnline.com is where you see all this stuff. Appreciate you, buddy. We will talk to you again next Tuesday.
Appreciate you guys. Everybody, good luck this week.
That's Joe Serpico with us every Tuesday here on GCR as we preview Waiver-Wire Wednesday. This Isaac Guerendo thing is really frustrating for me. Man, he should get him in a couple of leagues. I was feeling good about myself. I was high on the horse. Now I'm stressed again. I thought I had my savior. Emptied the bank and fab money in one league in order to get Isaac Guerendo.
Well, he might play. Who knows?
Yeah, he might. He better. He better.
It's not fantasy football if you're not sweating.
I guess that's true. All right. Today's show, or Joe Serpico, as I mentioned, is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. Griffin.
Getting $7 in free slot play at Live Casino because every time a Baltimore or Washington touchdown is scored during their home games, you get $7. Live Rewards members get $7 in free slot play. You have to have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine. Any slot machine on the floor has to be actively playing as well in order to get your prize. But once those touchdowns score, $7 in free slot play. Add Ronald Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we come back in. A second that I'll spend away from sports on what obviously has been a significant local story, and then we want to tell you a little bit about. I think a lot of people know that the BMW Championship is returning to Caves Valley next year, but did you know it's not the only significant golf tournament that's coming to the state of Maryland in 2025? We'll tell you more about that as well. It's all on the way. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll. receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Brooks Dubose profiles Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese as the Baltimore-built duo reunites in College Park with hopes of bringing the Terps back to prominence. Also inside, meet college basketball players from all of the area's D1 programs. PressBox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores, where you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR. In a few minutes, we're going to find out a little bit more about another golf tournament, major golf tournament that's coming to the state of Maryland in 2025. Before we do that, Griffin, I just emailed you a link. It's for a clip, and John from Little Rock shared it with me this morning, and it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. Unfortunately, obviously, you know the story of Luigi Mangione was arrested yesterday in Altoona, Pennsylvania. I think a lot of us in this area are very familiar with the Mangione family for any number of reasons. Their connections to the soccer community, the Baltimore Blast, WCBM Radio, State Representative Nino Mangione. The Mangione family has been a prominent family in this area for some time. Very proud of their Italian heritage. I know, they've been very involved in supporting the Christopher Columbus statue and Columbus Day, and I know that it's very controversial, and I'm not really interested in talking about any of those things. And I have no interest in really talking about, the execution of this healthcare executive in New York last week. It's not that I understand why it's become such a hot-button topic. I don't think that this is the forum for those conversations. I get it. I understand that people have very complicated feelings about the healthcare industry, and that can lead you to say things like, well, they're guilty of murder too. Like, I understand, but I'm not going to condone anything. I think it's just not the forum for any of that. This was interesting to me, and John sent this to me, and I also recognize that people have complicated feelings about WBFF television and Sinclair television in general. I understand that. There's a lot of agenda-driven content that they do. Today, because this is a prominent news story in the country, it's probably not surprising that WBFF would choose to send a reporter to the Gilman School. I don't know the details of what that reporter's assignment is. It's not surprising that reporter would go over and be looking for reaction from people at the Gilman School. One of their alums and a former valedictorian is now charged with a heinous crime, one of the more shocking crimes that we've seen, an execution in broad daylight. I think it was still dark outside. I'm not surprised that would be somewhere that a news station would choose to report from and try to gather information that kind of is the job. I also understand that I don't know what information there is to gather. Whatever your feelings are about the Mangione family, the only question that would be worth asking really is, did you know and were you trying to protect this person? That's a question that at some point members of the Mangione family will have to answer. They will. And we're going to go dramatic one way or the other. The people that care about the Mangione family, and I get it, are going to say it's unfair that you're hassling these people that have nothing to do with this. And to an extent, you're right. 100% you're right. Other than they are going to have to answer that question. Now, they probably can't answer it in the public. They probably will have to answer it in, courts of law or with investigators. This person's face was out there for days. Were you hiding the fact that you knew immediately it was your cousin or it was your nephew or it was your, whoever, your brother, were you doing that? And the members of that family, in the same way that if it was any of us, would have to answer those questions. And I have no suspicions of anything related to them. And if the answer is no, then it's awful for them. It's awful for them that they have to go through this. Because they have nothing to do with it. And to an extent, the Gilman School has nothing to do with it. There's no reason to think that, this person was radicalized by what they teach at the Gilman School. So I say this to set up this clip because I don't know what to make of this clip. This clip was from a reporter reporting at the Gilman School this morning. Shannon Lilly is her name. And I'm a little bit taken aback by what you're going to hear is a really loud noise in the background, and she's going to explain what that really loud noise is. And this is a clip from today on WBFF Fox 45.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, first let's talk about the community reaction to all of this. As you can hear behind me, there is certainly some hostility to even the fact that media is covering this story. So you can see this leaf blower behind me has told us that he will not leave until we do. So we are definitely seeing some of the community members reacting not happy that media is out here covering the story in general. Others have been murmuring. They're saddened by this
I think
news.
we get the point. I don't think we need
Students are
to go any
making their
further.
way in.
Yes, someone, presumably who works at the Gilman School, purposely stood right in the live shot of this reporter making a leaf blower to try to disrupt this person's reporting. And there's, it's so strange to me. John, you say that again? You don't think it has anything to do with the Gilman School? You think it's a neighbor from the community? But do you know that, or are you just... John's been told that by someone. Okay, thank you. Because I hope I hope it's not someone related to the Gilman School. I really do. I hope it's not. Because if it is, that's... It's so needlessly hostile. It makes it so much worse. And it's not good for a neighbor to do it either. There's just no... What do you think you're accomplishing here? How's this helping someone? Do you think you can make this story go away? So I hope that's the case. I hope John Colson's right about that. I hope that it really has nothing to do with the school whatsoever, and the school... I would hope that the school would see it and tell the neighbor they need to remove themselves from the premises. It sucks. It's awful for the school to be at the center of this. It's awful. It's not fair because there is no possible reason. Again, someone might have to ask, hey, did you recognize this person, and was anyone here trying to shield him? Look, the notion that someone that is not attending that school, it's years removed from the school, would immediately recognize that. And, oh, yeah, I can tell who that is. But the question still has to be asked. That's the way that this works. It's the reason why there's a fourth estate. You have to ask the question. But beyond that, it's a place to do a live shot because it connects the community to a story. But suggesting that the Gilman School has something to do with this, and again, nothing that I heard there would suggest that's what was going on. If that was the case, if somebody was coming over and saying, you guys are, it's your fault. That's shameful. That's beyond the pale and should be greeted with this type of thing. But someone simply coming to do their job and report, hey, this is a story, this is the connection to the community, this is kind of where we are as a society, that we just assume that all media is evil because they don't say the things that I want them to say. I would like to hope that the school would inform this person, no, you're not welcome here. We understand. It's not good, we don't like it, but we understand, and we're not going to be needlessly combative about this. This sucks, man. It sucks for everybody. But it is a statement about, trust in the media and the agendas that have been pushed by the many to say if a reporter is somewhere, they're evil and they're against you, when sometimes it's just reporting the news, because there is value to a fourth estate. There is value to questions should be answered. This is too significant. Humans' lives have been altered for us to be, I'm not going to make Elon Musk jokes about this, but this is what happens when we do this. When we sow the seeds of distrust, we get to this place. Reporters here, I've got to do that. Now, again, I get that there's agenda-driven reporting often, and that's shameful too, and has no business. This did not appear to be that, and this shouldn't be happening. Not a sermon, just a thought. Also, John wanted me to, can you explain to why the Powers have decided to open the transfer portal before the bowls in the college football playoff? It's wild how, for example, Arkansas has lost 25 or so players before their bowl game. I know this is happening all over. What are they going to do? Contracts. They need to change the portal period, and if you're paying players, they need to sign an agreement to play out the season to conclusion. Just my opinion. That's one of the things that was most fascinating in the Armin Catan book. It was the story of players going in and saying, you want me to play in the bowl game? $30,000. $30,000, I'll play in the bowl game. It's beyond what we had agreed to for the season. Everybody else can just get out of playing the bowl game. If you want me to play, I need more money. Particularly quarterbacks, right? Backup quarterbacks. Just so that I try to remember who it was last year. One of these teams last year was down to their third-string quarterback, had to pay more money to their third-string quarterback just so they had a quarterback to play in their bowl game.
Was that Minnesota? Was that
maybe? I remember us talking about it.
It was a day after Christmas.
We talked about it on the show. I remember having a conversation about this bizarre story. Yes, it's effed up, but contracts should be the answer. Now, will contracts include bowl games? That's going to be a fascinating, because inevitably all of these players that are going to the draft are always going to say, if it's not the playoff, there's no benefit for me playing in the bowl game. It's another reason why the playoff is going to keep growing, is more teams that don't have a bunch of players. The players will play in the playoff. They want to win a national championship. But if it's not that, if you're telling me it's the Weed Eater Bowl, you can't make that more compelling to me than getting ready for the draft. And, of course, the risk of injury that comes along with it. There's no way to win that. So to say, once we get the contracts, do you write that in? Hey, the contract has to include the bowl game? It's going to be tough. Then it's going to be, what's the buyout? How much of the contract do I have to give back if I choose not to play in the bowl game? Because it's going to be hard to come up with a number that's going to make it worthwhile to the players to say, you are risking to, how do you fault any of these guys? The transfer portal is a different conversation. You want to say the portal should not open until everybody's finished playing games? I'm on board with that. It goes back to, I hate the fact that everybody in the NFL is hiring coaches while some teams are preparing for the most important games they're going to play ever. And their coaches are also having to interview for other jobs at the same time. It's nonsense. The season that should end when the season ends for everyone. It's difficult to do because teams want to get on with it. They want to go to the Senior Bowl with their coaching staff. And the Senior Bowl is before the Super Bowl. So it would require you to back up the entire process, which I think would be the answer. It's a lot of movement, but it's nonsense. But I would agree, the transfer portal, it's probably not the time that it should be open while simultaneously players are moving on and other players are preparing for the biggest games of their lives. All right. We've been talking a lot about the fact that next year is going to be a huge golf year here in the state of Maryland. And joining us now to tell us a little bit more about maybe the event that perhaps you didn't know was coming to our neck of the woods next year. The Senior PGA Championship is headed to Congressional Country Club. And joining us right now to tell us a little bit more about that event and some opportunities that you have to try to take advantage of a great offer for tickets this holiday season, the champion director of the PGA of America, Jackie Endsley, is with us this morning here on GCR. Jackie, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to meet you and chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Glenn, pleasure to meet you, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Jackie, I feel like people might be hearing these words and not recognizing, you mean the Senior PGA? These are like the premier stars of the last few decades of golf that are all coming to Congressional next year.
Absolutely. So we have some of the most world-renowned golfers that play in this prestigious championship. It is the second time the Senior PGA Championship will be coming to the DMV. It was held there in 2017 at Trump National over in Virginia. So very excited to host it at Congressional, where we have a long-standing relationship with the club, hosting all of our championships over the next 15 years. So, Ryder Cup past captains. So we have Padraig Harrington, Steve Stricker, our defending champion, and Richard Bland, just to name a few. So we'll have the world's best here to take on Congressional's blue course.
It's awesome. It's the first ever time that the Senior PGA Championship will be contested here in the state of Maryland, which is incredible. Obviously, Caves hosted a major on the Senior Tour, or for the Champions Tour. I apologize. Make sure that I say that correctly. Just a few years back, and it was an awesome experience up this way. For people that have never experienced an event in person, and I, Jackie, will admit to you, the same way that I admit to everybody that I talk to, I had never gone to a live golf event. No, it's not true because I was in Phoenix. I'm not a 10 when it comes to golf. But experiencing like the BMW Championship when it was at Caves, it was awesome. It was electric. It was incredible. The atmosphere was amazing. What would you want people to know about the live event that goes beyond what they might see on TV each week?
Yeah, I think, coming out and seeing not only the world's best golfers, but seeing Congressional's blue course, right? We hosted the 2022 KPMG Women's PGA Championship here a few years ago and had the world's best female golfers. But fans can expect to just see the world's best, but also to take in a live sport at a fairly low cost. I think a lot of times today you look at the prices of tickets, right? Is always pretty, I don't want to say controversial, but again, the prices go up depending on what sporting event you go to. The nice thing now, we have a holiday promotion running. So any of our flex tickets are 15% off between now and the end of December. Kids are complimentary under the age of 15. So it really becomes a family affordable event. So a family of 4 can come for under $100 between now and the end of the year with our promotion that is running. And the code is holidays15. If you visit our website at Senior PGA Championship/tickets.
Let me make sure we get all this right. So it's SR SeniorPGAChampionship.com. It's SRPGAChampionship.com, correct?
Yes, srpgachampionship.com/tickets.
/tickets. And again, when you say any day flex, that means that you, for that low price, can purchase a ticket and go to it. You could be there for Championship Sunday.
Absolutely. So we'd like to give our fans the flexibility, just given, it is Memorial Day weekend, May 22nd to the 25th. A lot of times people don't know which day they'd like to go. So we give people the opportunity to come any day. So Thursday through Sunday at $59. But if you buy now, you'll be able to save a little bit before the holiday season.
No, that's incredible. And again, remind everybody what the code was one more time, Jackie.
Absolutely. It's Holidays15.
Holidays.
So HOLIDAYS 15.
Holidays15, and you can use that code in order to take advantage of that incredible offer for those Good Any Day Flex tickets for just $59 is incredible. And did you just say, did I catch that correct? Those free kids tickets are up to 15, you said?
So under the age of 15.
Under the age of 15.
So, yeah. So Glenn, each credentialed adult or ticketed adult has the opportunity to bring up to 4 children under the age of 15.
Wow.
So technically a family, if there's a mother and a father, they could bring up to 8 kids with them, complimentary.
That is amazing. There is nobody. I say this as I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I can tell you there's nobody doing that. There is no one giving away free tickets to 9-year-old kids at the moment. That is spectacular. Jackie Endsley is with us, the champion director for the PGA of America here on GCR. Jackie, why Congressional, right? Like, why, as you pointed out, has this become a place that's so important for the PGA moving forward?
So Congressional has hosted a multitude of major championships, right? They've hosted 1997. They hosted the U.S. Open when Ernie Els won, who will hopefully be in the field this coming year. 2011, the U.S. Open was here as well, and the 1976 PGA Championship. So back in 2018, the PGA of America and Congressional partnered to host all of our championships, so including the KPMG Women's PGA Championship, the Senior PGA Championship, the PGA Championship, as well as the Ryder Cup. So between now and 2037, Congressional will help us host all of these major championships. So we couldn't be more excited and very thankful to have a partner in Congressional that will allow us to host these great events.
I know that in addition to tickets, there are still opportunities for like corporate partnerships, and are you all still in the need for volunteers?
Absolutely. So if you go to that seniorpgachampionship.com website, we do have volunteer opportunities available still. So anything from marshaling on course to being a walking scorer, we do have positions available. So we hope people will take advantage and go online and take a look at that. And as you mentioned, we do have corporate hospitality packages that do still remain. We have a few tables in the clubhouse that do remain. So if anybody is interested, please visit our website so you can contact our corporate hospitality sales and marketing manager for more information.
It's srpgachampionship.com, and we're going to link that up on our Twitter account as well, at Glenn Clark Radio. And Jackie, like, I assume there's probably like perks that come with being a volunteer, right?
Absolutely. So not only do you do pay to volunteer, and for us, it's more acting as an ambassador while you're on property. So you do get a full uniform with that, as well as a credential for the week. So when you're not working and volunteering, you actually do get to take in golf as well. Your food and your meals are paid for during your shifts that you do work. So it is a really nice opportunity. If you've not done it, I encourage you to get out and give it a try. We have many, many repeat volunteers who did our 2022 KPMG Women's PGA Championship that are coming back to do it again, and ultimately get in line to volunteer for the PGA Championship and Ryder Cup as well.
That's really, really cool. And then you all are taking care of the military as well.
And the military are complimentary. So again, we want to thank them for their service. So both retired and active military are able to come to the championship complimentary. They are allowed to bring a guest as well, complimentary. So we do hope that military, both veterans and active military, will come in and partake this great championship. So all they have to do is come to the box office when they arrive on site, and we'll make sure to get them all squared away.
That is great stuff. I'm telling you, I'm looking at this leaderboard from last year's Senior PGA Championship, and I've already admitted to you, Jackie, I'm not a 10 on golf. I'm more like a 6. And yet I'm seeing this leaderboard. I'm seeing, you mentioned Ernie Els, Chris DeMarco, Steve Stricker, Retief Goosen, Stuart Sink, Kenny Perry. I'm like, geez, man. Like, these are all
We'll get you to a 10 there, Glenn. We'll get you to a 10.
Look, I'm telling you, whenever I've gone, I've always said, part of the problem, Jackie, is I'm a terrible golfer. That really is part of the problem, is that I have tried so many times to play golf, and I'm just no good at it. And it's frustrating.
That's all right.
But the events,
That's all right. Well,
the events are incredible. Like, there's just something about being there that it's hard to explain.
It is. Until you've come to a major championship, you don't know what you're missing. Again, this is the oldest major on the senior golf circuit. So really excited to bring it to Congressional and hope that people will come out and take advantage of the great offers we have.
I think it's incredible. Again, the code is Holidays15. You use that code, $59 any day flex tickets available for the 2025 Senior PGA Championship at Congressional. It's srpgachampionship.com is where you find all of the information and where you can use, /tickets, srpgachampionship.com/tickets in order to take advantage of that great offer. Jackie, is there anything else that you'd want golf fans in this area to know about?
No, I think, again, we just really hope people will come out and see the world's best. We're very excited to bring this championship to Congressional and the DMV area. So really hope people will come out and support the championship and enjoy watching some great golf.
Jackie Endsley, I say this all the time. Anything that benefits our state and our region and helps our economy, I am going to, even if I'm a terrible golfer, I'm going to support it gung-ho because it's good for business, and we like that. We are appreciating your commitment and the PGA's commitment to the state of Maryland. We can't wait to see you in May and hope that we can talk again before the Senior PGA Championship.
Thank you, Glenn. Pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Jackie. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's Jackie Endsley, the PGA of America Champions Director. Appreciate her taking the time. And again, look, you guys know, I when I do this, I just don't want to lie to you. I don't want you guys to be like, I see you're all of a sudden you're gung-ho about golf. I don't lie about it. You guys know I'm not following golf week in and week out. But I want every single one of these events in our state. I want major events in every sport right here. Because I want to support all the hotels, and I want all those tax dollars, and it's good for business for everybody. So, yeah, I'm going to continue to support them. Continue to support these events and hope that you get out and support them as well. All right, when we come back in, I think, was there anything else that we needed to cover today? I feel like we got to everything. Just needed to be a football game again. Or the Orioles to sign somebody else. We need those things. Yes. One of those things to occur. There hasn't really anything been like post Juan Soto. It's quieted down again.
The Dodgers brought Blake Trinan back.
I did see that, and Danny Jansen signed with the Rays, right?
Yes, that was big.
Yeah, that was huge. That's probably going to be the one that. So, by the way, I guess the Rays. So everybody knows the Rays are going to be playing at the Yankees spring training stadium for the next couple of years because they can't go back to Tropicana Field because of the roof, which is awful. I mean, you feel terrible for them, and you do. I mean, genuinely, that's not okay. You never. I mean, it's awful, but apparently it's not like a done deal. Like that stadium announcement that they made last year. Apparently not the done deal that we all thought it was. They had another vote this week. I guess it got complicated. The amount of money needed got complicated by the roof collapse at Tropicana Field and trying to put it into motion a little bit quicker than they were planning to. And then maybe the election led to people that were more supportive of public money or public bonds not being in power anymore, and it was different people that had to approve it. And apparently even after the last vote that was reported on that went in their favor, it's still not a done deal. The Rays are definitely staying. And this, I can tell you as someone who's was an Arizona Coyotes fan, like when you're finding temporary solutions, it starts to make you very nervous. And it just feels like there's a lot of nervous language that surrounds every report about the Tampa Bay Rays and their situation. It just feels like there's a lot of really nervous energy about it not being the done deal that they've got a stadium to replace Tropicana Field, that it seemed like it was a done deal. So I don't know what to make of it. I hope, for their sake. I do think that there are baseball fans in that area. We can all joke about it and laugh about it. And even in Power Rankings today, I make another Tampa Bay playoff joke. But, I've never understood why it was St. Petersburg that they were playing in. The irony is that, when they're playing in the Yankees spring training home, they're probably playing in the place where they should be playing. And there might be more people that would be willing to go in much smaller stadiums. So there's some irony there. But You never root for a city to lose a team. Like, that's macabre. You don't do that. But it is a complicated picture, what's happening with the Rays right now. All right, we'll come back in. We'll wrap things up. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through 30th for the Governor's Challenge presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and info, visit govchallenge.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Millette, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Millette Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. The Arthur Millette Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Visit Harford County this holiday season for a brand new event. You'll feel like you stepped into a holiday movie. Harford Holidays is overflowing with the spirit of the holiday season. You'll be amazed by the jaw-dropping light displays, thrilled by a visit to Santa's workshop, and have the holiday time of your life with sleigh rides, a special vendor village, s'mores making stations, and so much more. It's a holiday light experience, new at Ripken Stadium, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, December 6th through December 22nd. For ticket information, head to visitharford.com. You'll have the happiest holiday season ever.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCRs. Continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Some murmurs out there about Bill Belichick. It would be wild if he ended up being the coach in North Carolina. That would just be unbelievably wild and really crazy that he wouldn't at least wait it out to get further. Maybe, he's already poked in with the Saints and the Bears, and he's just gotten the sense that the thing that he wants, which is like control,
right?
It's just not coming at the NFL level. And I said that last offseason. Like, that just might be the reality, is that these NFL teams are just saying, dude, it's not going to happen that way. We're not doing that. I don't know why some of these organizations wouldn't being like, What the hell do the New York Jets have going for them? They wouldn't be willing to say to Bill Belichick, tell you what, whatever you want to do it. We're incompetent. And maybe part of it is that Bill Belichick, that's the organization that would let Bill Belichick do that, and he would say, no. The ownership is so incompetent that I will not. I can't fix them. I'm befuddled. Some of these organizations, like, thinking that they have everything figured out. We know how to do things. Do you? Do you? What makes you believe that? I'd love to know.
Well, the Jets are being run by Woody Johnson's son, so that's...
But that's the point. Like, it might very well be that it's one of two things. Either some of these people are so detached. Like, Dan Snyder was so detached from reality. Like, genuinely believed that he was a good owner with bad luck, right? And, like, the process made sense. What we were doing the right things. We just kept running into bad luck because he was separated from reality.
Yeah, they would have been the Chiefs otherwise.
Right. If they had just if this guy had just proved to be the Chiefs didn't know better than everybody when they drafted Patrick Mahomes. They just got lucky that he was better than everybody else. And in some instances, sometimes that's correct, right? Like, the notion that the Patriots knew that Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady, get the entire F out of here. They had no idea. I'll acknowledge to you, to some extent, the Ravens didn't know that Lamar Jackson was going to be Lamar Jackson. We give them a lot of credit as being the organization that did, but they could have done it at 16. They didn't do that. They weren't sure. They thought that there was something about him that everybody else was missing. But even going into his second season in the NFL, they had no idea what was coming. And I think it's been kind of reported that they were concerned going into his second season in the NFL. Clearly, the rest is history. All that being said, if I'm an organization that needs a head coach and I'm one of these organizations and Bill Belichick says, I've got to be able to run everything, like, imagine clinging to I don't even know who the GM is. Is it still Mickey Loomis in New Orleans?
Yeah, Mickey Loomis is still there for now, I guess. I don't know. Yeah,
imagine clinging to the processes that have gotten you to this place. Imagine being that beholden to. Well, we can't do that because the way we do things is good enough for us to have to fire our coach in the midway point of the season. No disrespect. Just some of these organizations, whatever he wants. Whatever you want to do, dude, you go do it. And that might fail too. Like, let's be clear. It might very well be that we look back and Bill Belichick didn't know exactly what he just happened to be he had Tom Brady. But
I know, it's like, is that going to be better than or how can it be worse?
That's more of where I'm at. Like, I'd be willing to give it a shot. Like that, I'd be at least willing to find out, because everything else you've tried doing has been failure after failure after failure after failure. All right, let's get a tidbit, shall we?
Sure. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, it's not like you knew we were reaching the tidbit portion of the program. I can understand why we weren't prepared.
I thought we were going to do 30 minutes on
no.
I knew you have 30 minutes on Belichick.
No, sure don't. No reason to be doing that. This is the part of the program where we do tidbit.
The top high school basketball talent from across the country once again returns to the Wycomico Civic Center December 26th through the 30th for the Governor's Challenge, presented by Pohanka of Salisbury. Witness 5 full days of elite competition featuring over 140 high school basketball teams from 16 states plus Canada. Multiple top 10 teams and nationally ranked players will display their talents on the court. Don't miss the best experience in high school hoops. For tickets and information, visit govchallenge.org.
Interesting, this note is obviously the Ravens, if they're going to find a way back in the division, need the Steelers to lose at least one other game. And Teresa Varley, who covers the Steelers just works for the Steelers, Steelers.com. Coach Mike Tomlin said there is a potential for George Pickens to play this week, but it's an outside chance. He said if he was pressed to answer today, he would probably say he is out or could be categorized as doubtful. And as you look at the 4 games they have left, and obviously one of them being the Ravens have to win that game. The others being a home game against the Bengals at the end of the season. A Chiefs game that might be their other loss, but this week against the Eagles would stand out as a pretty good opportunity for the Steelers to find another loss. A game where they'll be dogs on the road in Philadelphia, so potentially with that. And obviously it didn't matter last week. They were just fine without George Pickens against the Browns, but you would think that would be a different story this week against the Eagles. So just something to monitor. All right, what you got for tidbits?
Jay Kuda had this one yesterday. I mean, he's part of the program at this point. NFL, he shared there are 6 NFL players that have played at least 12 games each of the last 12 seasons, all with one team. Any idea who? Can you give me two?
Say there are 6 players.
6 players that have played at least 12 games in each of the last 12 seasons. One team.
With one team. Justin Tucker's one of them.
Correct. Justin Tucker is the lone Raven on this list. He is one of 6. If you can get 2.
That's how random they are?
Well, because there's 2 long snappers.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
We got a reserve, not a reserve.
Is
but,
Joe Cardona still in New England?
No, he is not.
Where's Joe Cardona these days? Is he out of the league?
He's out of the league.
That's a bummer. I like Joe Cardona. That's a real bummer. Who else?
No, he is still with the. Oh, he just hasn't been in the league for 12 years.
Really?
Yeah,
When
he's 32 years old. He was drafted in 2015.
Okay. All right.
Yikes.
Well, yeah, you're right. I'm probably not going to get the long snappers.
The Panthers have a long snapper named J.J. Jansen.
Sure they do.
And he's been with them for
Good-
quite a bit.
good for him.
Texans long snapper, John Weeks.
Oh, John Weeks.
Also been with them
I feel
for
like I've
quite a
heard that
while.
name before, but,
Yeah.
you know.
We have 2 edge. The other 3 are defensive players.
Other 3 are defensive
Both on NFC, or all 3 on NFC South teams.
On NFC South team. Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan, yes, is one of them. And then the other 2, both are Buccaneers.
Defensive player?
Yeah.
It's not Vita. Levante David? Has he
Levante
been there?
David.
Has he been there that long? I
Yeah,
didn't realize
Levante
that.
David has been there that long. And then also defensive end for the Bucks, William Golston.
William Golston has been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer the entire time.
According to Jay Kuda.
You know
He's
what?
never lied.
You know what the problem is? It's like it's him. There was Cedric Golston. All like the Golsons or whatever. Like they all kind of. Who was the one that was out in San Francisco?
I'm not too familiar. I'm not as familiar with the Golston family as you are.
I don't know if they're related. They're just people that have similar names, and I think that they've become Vernon, right?
Golston?
Vernon, is it Golston?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vernon Golston is his cousin, and then that's the only one I see on his Wikipedia as part of the family.
All right, whatever. What else?
The Joe Burrow and the Jamar Chase, they scored another long touchdown yesterday. Well, they had a couple touchdowns, but one of them was over 40 yards, the game winner at the end there. They are now tied 4th all time for most 40-yard touchdown passes between a duo. With 17 touchdowns of 40 or more yards. Can you name the 3 duos that have more 40-yard touchdowns than Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and also who they tied last night? 17.
So there's 4 all time.
Yeah, they just tied 4th. Yeah, so there's 5. So they're in the top 5.
Is Jerry Rice involved with?
Jerry Rice is involved.
I'll say Montana.
Yes.
Is he involved with another?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
It's also Young.
Yeah, Steven. Which one's more?
Montana.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Steve Young had 20 40-yard touchdowns with Rice. Montana had 19 with Jerry Rice. Yeah. So that is one. That is 2 and 3. There is one duo that had more.
One duo that had more. Aikman Irvin.
Not Aikman Irvin.
Is Kurt Warner involved?
He is not.
Is Peyton Manning involved?
He would be.
Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison.
It is Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. 21. That is the top mark for a duo. However, it feels like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow could certainly be closing in. They've only played 50 games together. Manning and Harrison played 173. So
that's impressive. I mean,
who'd they tie last night as well?
Who'd they tie last night? Christ.
17 connections of 40-yard touchdowns.
Is Aaron Rodgers involved?
He is.
It's Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers and Greg Jennings. Aaron Rodgers and Donald Driver. Aaron Rodgers and James Jones. Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb. Who the hell else could it be? Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson.
Jordy Nelson, yes.
I don't remember.
He's the president. What is he? He's the president or the vice president of the NFLPA now, or whatever. Or
Yeah,
he's the guy handing out fines.
Yeah,
or
I
rescinding
did
fines.
see that. He was. The appeal went to him.
Yeah, is
or
that what
something?
it is? I don't know. That comes from from Jack Andrade on Twitter, by the way. Research NFL Network. So that was a good one. I guess we can go ahead and
All right, very good. We'll call it, and let's go ahead and get tubular for the evening.
Because he.
That's definitely not tubular. I know that much. I don't know what it
Have
is.
you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. There are some local hoops teams in action, as Patrick Stevens mentioned. Morgan State is on national TV, in fact, at Xavier tonight, 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. UMBC is at home at 6 o'clock against Cairn. It's a D3 on ESPN+, and Coppin's at NC State tonight at 7 on ESPN+. There is a little bit of college basketball worth watching tonight. ESPN's got the Jimmy V Classic, Miami and Tennessee at 6:30, Michigan, Arkansas at 9. Peacock for Penn State, Rutgers at 7, Wisconsin, Illinois at 9. Big Ten Network, Eastern Washington at 11. Sure.
my brother's going to that, so yeah.
Really?
Definitely tune in.
All right. All the other college hoops, go to glennclarkradio.com. NBA Cup quarterfinals.
Oh, do you want to know who's left?
Yeah, sure.
Went through to make sure.
Yeah, who's
got
the Magic Bucks tonight at 7 o'clock? Who's got the Magic? Who's got the Bucks?
The Magic and I have the Bucks. Go
Ooh,
Bucks.
look at
Go
you.
Bucks. And then Tony
Tony Iafola has the Magic.
Yes,
Love
he
Tony's
has.
one of the best people. Always supportive of what we're doing.
Who else is
Mavericks
alive?
Thunder is the next game, 9:30.
Jeremy Kahn has the Mavs.
No, that's how.
And you have the Thunder.
Oh, what? Oh, because what's his face got hurt, and I was really despondent about that when I got the Thunder. Who got hurt for them? Somebody got hurt.
I don't know. Chet got hurt?
Did Chet get hurt?
I'm
got
just
hurt.
Guessing. I'm just guessing. Player Jalen Williams is still playing, so I don't think it was
Shea
him.
It's not Shea. I think it was Chet Holmgren who got hurt, and I was like, no, I got the Thunder. That's awful.
He's probably back by now.
Is he? I don't know.
These NBA injuries go quick.
I don't pay. This is not for me.
Like, unless you're Zion, they go quick.
Yeah, Trey. That's correct. Tomorrow night, Hawks-Knicks is the first game. Who's got the Hawks? Who's got the Knicks?
Vince Eustace.
Yeah, Vince. Okay.
He's got the Hawks.
All right. Pride of Falston High School.
And then PFF Sean's got the Rockets.
I said the Knicks.
Oh, you
Hawks
said the
and
Knicks.
Knicks.
Well, I just wanted to let you know that PFF Sean's got.
We'll get there.
Patrick Davis has the Knicks.
Patrick Davis. Okay. Yes. And then Warriors-Rockets was the last one.
Okay, so PFF Sean going up against the Warriors. Aaron Corcoran.
Aaron Corcoran, Aaron from Bel Air. Very cool. So nobody had more than one. Nobody had both their teams.
Yeah, nobody
different
had double teams.
8 of the 15 participants have a team alive going into the NBA Cup quarterfinals. Which
Okay, Chet is hurt.
He's still hurt.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be hurt for a while actually. What is he
That's
hurt?
what I was concerned about.
He had a hip fracture.
Yeah, it was bad. I remember what it was. It was significant. ESPN Plus and Hulu for Maple Leafs Devils at 7, Wild and Hockey Club at 9:30, and CBS Sports Network also has RB Leipzig and Aston Villa at 3 in the Champions League. CW for WWE NXT tonight at 8. Non-sports.
Yeah, I mean, if you just want to make it if you're not watching the college basketball, you can just make it a double header of Lego Masters, the Holiday Britacular. The season 3 premiere of that on Fox at 8.
Sure.
And then Hard Knocks, of course, at 9 o'clock.
Oh,
on,
right.
On HBO. So,
right.
So maybe the Ravens won't be featured at all. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they'll.
How do you not? A lot of people have brought this up. Like, how is the Diontae Johnson thing not a part of Hard Knocks? Like, this is it leaves you concerned about this season of Hard Knocks.
An episode of the Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars show on Disney Plus tonight as well, and then I think that's it. Manny Kaling on Stephen Colbert, Ryan Seacrest on Kimmel. It's the season 26 finale of The Voice as well. So just a lot of things that everyone's got to try to keep track of. Jost will be on Seth Meyers, John Mulaney on Fallon for. I don't know why.
Sports trivia from last night. Finished in 4th place last night. Was not a great showing from us. We were not confident in a few answers that we had right that we should have wagered more points about. Yeah, new season started this week.
Okay, you got time.
We also, I think, we haven't.
Jimmy Fox has a comedy special. If anyone's into that on Netflix.
You know, it looks pretty good too, actually. These were easy last night.
So came in fourth.
Well, the sports questions were easy. The other ones, not so much. Joe Montana, Jerome Bettis, and Ronnie Stanley all went to this college.
That would be Ronnie Stanley went to Notre Dame.
Yeah. The fact that you struggle with that was concerning.
You said the name so
and
quick.
then these three men combined to win all 4 golf majors last year.
One of them would be that criminal, Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah. Second, I couldn't figure out if you actually had forgotten what his last name was.
You got the criminal. You got who else would have won a major last year?
It took me a second.
Gosh, Drew just throws out so many different golf names that I'm like, I don't know if this guy's won anything or Drew just likes his name. Let's go with Sunjay Im. He didn't win one.
Is that what you're guessing? Are you guessing Sunjay Im?
No, I'm saying he didn't win one, right?
I'm not responding unless it's a guess.
What are the tournaments?
Oh my God, dude!
Yeah, the one out. You got the British one,
the Masters, the PGA, the U.S. Open, and the British Open.
Okay, I feel like Scotty won like the first 2, didn't he?
Dog, just guess something for Christ's sake.
Sunjay Im.
It's not Sunjay Im.
Rory didn't win one. Yeah, Rory won one.
Rory did not win one. You would have gone 1 for 3.
Well, those weren't my final guesses.
Yeah, go ahead and be the sports guy.
I'm not the golf guy.
Sports.
Yeah, but
thankfully
sports.
you had all these other areas that you're so strong in that it can make up for the fact
knowing that Ryan Stanley went to Notre Dame.
You only know some of everyone at the table knew the answer to that question.
To all the golf ones?
Not to the golf one.
Okay.
No. I was the only one that knew that.
Let's go with Tiger didn't win one. Phil didn't win one either.
Want to guess?
Tiger and Phil.
No, and no, obviously.
That's why I said they didn't win.
Right. This is really bad.
I don't know who won the other 2. I just don't.
Well, one I remembered, like the first one, Scheffler I wrote down immediately, and then I was struggling for a second. I'm like, oh right, Bryson came back and won the U.S. Open.
Okay.
Everybody.
DeChambeau.
Yeah, DeChambeau won the U.S. Open, and it was a big deal because he hadn't won in a while, and it was a whole thing.
So the other one probably didn't win.
The other
either.
2,
Brooks.
Were not won by Brooks Koepka. The other 2. PGA Championship was where Scotty Scheffler got arrested. He did not win the PGA Championship. It took me a minute to remember that the other 2 were won by Xander Schauffele.
Yeah,
won
wow.
both
I
the
thought Scotty won
PGA
2.
and the Open Championship. Nailed it. All right. Thanks today to Jamal Lewis. Thanks to Patrick Stevens. Thanks to Joe Serpico and Jackie Endsley. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher?
He said he was going to prepare something, and
I didn't say I was
he
going
just
to prepare
came back
something.
with
I just said I just don't like doing that one anymore.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow on the program, is Drew here?
Yeah, Drew is here.
That's a shame. And Stuff and Things.
Pose him the same question. See how long it takes him.
What, him to name the 3 guys that won the golf majors? I'm sure it'll be a real struggle for him. Anything else?
Stuff and Things.
Oh, boy. Stuff and Things on the program.
Talk about Hard Knocks, obviously.
Sure. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Visit Hartford, Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, as well as Hartford Holidays, I mentioned that, I guess. HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Costas Inn, MSAA, Maryland Sports, the Governor's Challenge, the CIAA Tournament, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go Morgan, go Coppin, go UMBC. Duke sucks.